Vol 2, Chapter 904, The Nova of Corellia. As the calendar turned to March of 21 BBY, the galaxy-wide conflict escalated once more. On the 15th of March, the Interstellar Banking Association, in alliance with the Fourth Group, launched a sudden and formidable assault on the galaxy's northern territories. Their armada, comprising 30 Behemoth-class battlecruisers and over 50 Generosity-class communication frigates, executed a surprise attack that nearly overwhelmed the Galactic Republic's 8th Army fleet orbiting the planet Makito. In the face of such overwhelming odds, Jedi Master Sastin led a daring counterstrike with a squadron of fighter jets against the flagship of the Separatist fleet. The Dark Jedi Knight Ulu Ulix, commanding the enemy forces, narrowly escaped assassination by Sastin. In the ensuing chaos, the Republic fleet seized the opportunity to retreat from the brink of defeat. Following this encounter, Ulu Ulix, regaining composure, directed his forces toward an essential hyperspace node on the planet Janfatar, a strategic point leading to the 8th Army headquarters on Oder Mantle. The siege of Janfatar sparked a rebellion among the planet's oppressed workers, who refused to continue their labor for the government, thereby resisting the Confederation of Independent Systems invasion. The Supreme Strategic Command of the Galactic Republic, recognizing the critical nature of the Northern Offensive, feared losing control over the galaxy's relatively stable northern sector, already reeling from setbacks in the western and southern battlefields. However, resources and commanders were stretched thin. With Master Windu gravely injured, the Jedi Order was unable to provide additional support. In this dire situation, the Republic turned to the Artis sect, a splinter group of Jedi led by the human Jedi Knight Didin Altis. Despite their refusal to fall under the direct command of the Jedi Order, the Artis sect remained loyal to the Republic. Jane Artis and his team of Jedi Knights promptly responded to the Republic's call, arriving on Coruscant to strategize for the upcoming battle. President Shiv Palpatine issued an administrative order, deploying a fleet from the Corellian system to reinforce Janfatar. Meanwhile, the enemy forces, divided between Janfatar and expansions into neighboring galaxies, were caught off guard by a surprise attack from Jane Artis's fleet. The Republic's fleet, primarily composed of small spacecraft from the Corellian Engineering Company and a few Chaser-class battlecruisers under Master Sastin, faced daunting odds. The Behemoth-class battlecruisers, armed with semi-axis-based concentrated plasma cannons known as Yamato cannons, inflicted severe damage on the Republic's larger ships, including those of the Chaser class. Additionally, the Behemoth class's air-to-air scattering laser cannon arrays decimated smaller warships, forcing the Republic to deploy numerous fighter groups in a desperate attempt to neutralize these formidable adversaries. This tactical shift inadvertently lessened the pressure on the Generosity-class communication frigates. Despite being considered outdated, the Generosity-class frigates, equipped with twin-mounted heavy turbolaser cannons, remained a significant threat. The Republic's fleet, bolstered by the unexpected prowess of the Artis sect's Jedi Knights, engaged in a fierce battle to protect the strategic interests of the Galactic Republic and to prevent the loss of the northern sector. The conflict over Janfatar would prove to be a pivotal moment in the Galactic War, showcasing the resilience and bravery of those fighting for peace and justice in the face of overwhelming odds. The Republic's fighter group remained uncontained, allowing the Generosity-class communications frigates to unleash their full firepower, inflicting more damage than in previous engagements. Amidst another looming failure, the flagship of the Republic fleet received an unexpected communication from a cheerleader-class assault landing ship named Leveler. The ship's young captain, O, conferred strategic combat advice after a thorough analysis of the battlefield. He proposed that the fleet commander reorganize the fleet into 10 squads for harassment and delay tactics, with the ultimate goal of swiftly deploying ground forces on Janfatar. He explained the new Behemoth-class battlecruisers, such as the Separatism, rely on an explosive use of energy that necessitates a lengthy charging cycle. The cooldown period of this cycle presents an opportune moment for our counterattack. Given the disparity in fleet strength, I recommend initiating a landing operation as soon as possible to suppress the uprising on the planet and regain its support. Following this advice, President Shiv Palpatine of the Galactic Republic personally issued an administrative order. A fleet was dispatched from the Corellian galaxy to reinforce Janfatar. The Interstellar Banking Association and the Fourth Group's combined fleet allocated half of their forces to Janfatar, while the remaining fleets expanded their operations to surrounding galaxies. During this time, the fleet under Jane Artanis launched a surprise attack. The Galactic Republic's fleet, comprising numerous small spacecraft from the Corellian Engineering Company and several Chaser-class battlecruisers under Master Sass Tin, faced daunting odds. The Behemoth-class battlecruisers demonstrated formidable power in the battle. Equipped with semi-axle-based concentrated plasma cannons known as Yamato cannons at their bow, they inflicted severe damage on the large-scale battleships, particularly those of the Chaser class. Additionally, the Behemoth-class battlecruisers' air-to-air scattering laser cannon arrays effectively targeted the Republic's smaller warships. This new class of battleship forced the Republic's fleet to deploy a significant number of fighter groups in hit-and-run attacks against the Behemoth-class battlecruisers, thereby reducing the pressure on the Generosity-class communications frigates. Despite being considered outdated, the Generosity-class frigates' twin-mounted, heavy turbolaser cannons remained a potent threat. With the Republic's fighter groups unimpeded, these frigates could utilize their firepower to its maximum potential, causing unprecedented damage in the ongoing conflict. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, the young captain of the Leveler had wisely advised a strategic adjustment in the fleet's formation and tactics. His insights into exploiting the Behemoth-class battlecruiser's energy cycle for a counterattack, coupled with the urgency of a ground operation on Janfatar, offered a glimmer of hope in turning the tide of the battle and restoring the Republic's influence on the planet. Vol 2, Chapter 905, Battle of Jan Fatal. The Battle of Jan Fatal took an unexpected turn, leaving Dark Jedi Knight Ulu Ulix, the commander of the Interstellar Banking Association and the Fourth Group's combined fleet, completely overwhelmed. The disarray of the Republic fleet thwarted his plans for a swift victory through the formidable frontal firepower of the Behemoth-class battlecruisers and Generosity-class frigates. His anxiety only grew when he witnessed the Republic fleet beginning its descent onto the planet Janfatar. On the ground, the leaders of the Workers' Strike Organization were in a state of desperation, pleading for immediate reinforcements from the Confederation of Independent Systems. The Republic's formidable clone army was advancing towards the capital city of Atar, and the defectors who had joined the workers' cause were no match for them. Ulu Ulix, who had only been a mediocre Jedi apprentice before being seduced by the dark side through the betrayal of his master Glyn Beatty under Darth Marthael's influence, found himself at a loss. Despite his newfound power, his decision-making abilities were still lacking. However, under the persistent requests of the strike leaders, he decided that supporting the planet was crucial, and despite the Republic fleet's harassment, deployed his landing forces. Unlike the Republic fleet, which boasted Cheer-class assault landing ships, Ulu Ulix's fleet was designed for decisive space battles, not planetary invasions. Although the Behemoth class could carry a significant number of Marines, deploying them to the planet proved to be a logistical nightmare. This diversion of resources weakened the Confederate fleet's overall strength, and the battle on Janfatar's surface soon escalated. Tens of thousands of Confederate droid legions from the independent galaxy stormed into Atar, which was already under partial control of the Workers' Strike Organization. The convergence of the Workers' Army and the droid legions led to intense urban warfare. The planet's ruling party, unwilling to relinquish control of the capital, called in reinforcements from across Janfatar, aiming to reclaim their territory. Upon the Republic Army's arrival, Jedi Knights from the Artis sect, led by Jane Artanis, joined forces with the Clone Army. They initiated highly effective guerrilla tactics, attacking the Workers and droid armies from multiple directions. The young Galactic Republic commander, Gilad Pellaeon, showcased his strategic prowess, maximizing the Clone Army's effectiveness despite being outnumbered and significantly prolonging the conflict. The street battles raged for 5 days. As reinforcements poured into the capital, the Confederate droid legions and the workers' army began to falter. However, the head of the planet's ruling party, blinded by the prospect of victory, made a grave mistake. He ordered the public execution of a captured leader of the workers' organization and commanded his forces to crush the remaining resistance, aiming to eradicate them from the capital. Commander Gilad Pellaeon vehemently opposed this ruthless strategy, but his objections were dismissed by the triumphant ruling party head, who underestimated the young commander. Ignoring Pellaeon's counsel, the ruling party leader ordered an all-out assault with the backing of the Galactic Republic, setting the stage for a brutal conclusion to the Battle of Jan Fatal. The exploitation of the working class on the planet had reached its peak. The ruling powers were solely focused on their economic interests, showing no concern for the well-being of others. During a frenzied assault by government forces, Atar City suffered severe damage, resulting in a high number of civilian casualties. Furthermore, the government initiated a global purge, arresting and executing without trial all workers who had participated in the strike. This harsh response, however, only fueled the resistance among the planet's civilians. Ulu Ulix, far from being an ordinary individual, quickly capitalized on this growing unrest. Distributed a vast array of weapons to the civilians, recognizing that the Confederation of Independent Galaxies lacked the control to prevent such an action. With the Confederation's resources stretched thin, Ulu Ulix reached out to the renowned arms dealer, Santa Yuri Orlov, who had a history of supporting planetary rebellions against ruling parties. Yuri Orlov, well versed in these matters from his experiences on Celia Planet, eagerly provided his services. As the Republic fleet struggled against the behemoth-class battlecruisers of the Confederation of Independent Systems, small transport ships laden with weapons managed to enter Janfatar. They delivered their cargo to cities engulfed in strikes and uprisings, equipping the insurgents with a variety of inexpensive yet effective weapons, including anti-tank rocket launchers, mortars, short-range rockets, individual anti-aircraft missiles, and sniper rifles. Despite the ruling party's regular army possessing tanks and artillery, they found themselves outmatched in the complex urban environment of Janfatar, suffering heavy losses. The rebellion on the planet escalated to a point beyond control. The clone troopers of the Galactic Republic, initially instructed never to fire upon civilians, found themselves with no choice as the civilian uprising intensified. Workers' uprisings erupted across nearly every city, forcing the ruling party's army to confine themselves to the capital city of Atar, too fearful to venture out. In this chaos, the clone army of the Galactic Republic and the robot army of the Confederation of Independent Systems were relegated to the background. Captain Gerard Pellaeon, facing an unfavorable initial battle, reluctantly requested a withdrawal. Despite this setback, his efforts on the ground had not been in vain, as Ulu Ulix's fleet failed to overcome the Republic's fleet in space. Gerard Pellaeon's return to the space battlefield did not tarnish his reputation. Instead, he was welcomed into the Admiral's staff. During this tumultuous month, the Republic fleet received significant reinforcements, including an increase to 20 Chaser-class battlecruisers. The fighter jets these cruisers carried posed a substantial threat to the combined fleets of the Interstellar Banking Association and the Fourth Group. However, the conflict took an unexpected turn with the sudden attacks by the Geths, targeting not only the Galactic Republic, but also the territories controlled by the Confederation of Independent Galaxies. With this new threat emerging, the space battle over Janfatar came to an end, as both sides began their retreat. Chapter 906, Development of the Battle Situation. The battle for the planet Jan Fatal raged for over a month. Contrary to expectations, the outcome was not determined by the Galactic Republic or the Confederation of Independent Systems. Instead, arms dealer Yuri Orlov, the government of Jan Fatal, and workers' strike groups took center stage. The conflict came to an abrupt end with a sudden massive outbreak of the Geth. However, prior to this, the workers' uprising on Jan Fatal had successfully overthrown the ruling government, establishing a workers' regime. This new regime, harboring resentment towards the Galactic Republic, immediately joined the Confederation of Independent Systems and declared war on the Republic. Despite the Republic's setbacks in this battle, Captain Gilad Pelaine of the Cheer-class assault landing ship, Correction, distinguished himself. He proposed crucial strategies that allowed the Republic fleet to disperse and harass the enemy, and executed a forced landing on Jan Fatal. This maneuver prompted Ulu Ulix to make critical errors, briefly giving the Republic a glimpse of victory. In space, Jedi Master Sas Ting, alongside Anakin Skywalker and his apprentice Ahsoka Tano, fought valiantly against the Confederate fleet. Their presence was so formidable that the Dark Jedi Ulu Ulix dared not confront them directly. Together, they thwarted the invasion attempts by the Interstellar Banking Association and the Fourth Group Combined Fleet. The Fourth Civilization had initially planned for their fleet to reach Oder Mantle, the capital of the Republic's Eighth Army, and engage in a prolonged conflict. However, their plans were foiled when they were unexpectedly halted at Jan Fatal. Although they managed to incite a workers' uprising and eventually seize control of the planet, it took them a month to do so. During this time, the Galactic Republic's industrial might, particularly the Quat Power Dock and Corellian Engineering Company, churned out a formidable fleet. Assembled on Oder Mantle, this fleet comprised 20 Chaser-class battlecruisers and over 300 smaller warships, presenting a significant challenge. Recognizing the loss of the initial advantage, Qi Jian, the chief of staff for the Fourth Civilization's military command, ordered a halt to the offensive on Oder Mantle, choosing instead to focus on the Geth and bide their time for a more opportune moment to strike. Throughout March and April, as the Battle of Jan Fatal unfolded, the galactic situation underwent significant changes. General Grievous made considerable advances in the Central Sector raiders. Walter Tambor of the Techno-Union led a second assault on Rylos, the capital of the Republic's 14th Army. This time, the lack of a mobile fleet, which had previously hampered the Confederation of Independent Systems, now plagued the Galactic Republic, enabling the Techno-Union to launch a formidable attack. A fleet consisting of 5 Higra-class battlecruisers, 3 Shenyi-class destroyers, and 20 Generosity-class frigates blockaded Rylos. Meanwhile, a 1.1 million-strong droid army swept across the planet. The valiant Nikto Jedi Master Ima Gun D fell in battle, and Lesu, the capital city of Rylos, was finally captured. The Twi'lek home planet succumbed to the control of the Confederation of Independent Systems, with the Techno-Union showing less willingness for dialogue compared to the Fourth Civilization. During his last visit, Great Foreman Wat Tambor exacted brutal revenge on the Twi'leks, oppressing them severely. Those who resisted were enslaved and forced to construct massive robotic factories for the Techno-Union. However, oppression sparked resistance, leading the Twi'leks to initiate a prolonged guerrilla war under the leadership of Cham Syndulla. The fall of Ryloth also signified the destruction of the 14th Army of the Galactic Republic, known as the Red Tail, marking it as the second army to be annihilated following the 19th Army. General Grievous, with the support of Count Dooku's dark disciple, Asajj Ventress, successfully captured the 2 habitable moons of the Antar system, Antar 4 and Antar 5. This conquest marked a significant advancement for the Confederation of Independent Systems, bringing the war into the inner ring of the Milky Way. This was not merely a raid like those led by Severance Tan, nor was it a simple defection like that of Cato Neimoidia and Skako to the Confederacy. Instead, it represented a strategic extension of the battle lines. Following the capture of the Antar Galaxy, General Grievous's strategy forced the Galactic Republic to redirect its forces to protect the inner ring stars, particularly towards the Delong Galaxy. This move aimed to prevent the Confederation from using the Antar Galaxy as a launch pad for further incursions into the galaxy's inner ring. The ongoing battles significantly impacted the conflict with the Fourth Civilization, leading to notable advancements on their part. In 21 BBY, on March 12th, Admiral Severance Tan led a surprise attack with 35 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers on the planet Malastar. The Republic's attempt to reinforce the planet Eliadu via Malastar Fjord was thwarted by Tan's blockade and the deployment of hyperspace blockers in the fjord. Despite the Republic's efforts to break through the blockade with a fleet intended for Eliadu, Tan's strategic genius forced them to retreat. Subsequently, General Martuk, after completing his mission on Harankal, led 3 Lucrol-class battleships to Maradun, where they joined the awaiting Fourth Legion. Major General Xiao Guanghua of the Fourth Civilization Army personally oversaw the ground operation. The battle for Maradun was not only significant due to the involvement of the Fourth Army and Xiao Guanghua's direct command, but also because of the underlying complexities that made it a particularly challenging conflict. On March 33rd, the Galactic Republic mobilized its fleet for another assault on Malastare Ford, deploying 20 Chaser-class battlecruisers. This operation was crucial for reinforcing the planet Eliadu, the 18th Army's capital. With the fall of Ryloth and the annihilation of the 14th Army, losing Eliadu would mean the Republic's loss of control over the galaxy's southern and western regions. Furthermore, the Republic's intelligence department received information through undisclosed channels that the 178 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers of the Blade Fleet seized by the Dawn planet were expected to be refurbished by the end of April. These cruisers would then likely target Eliadu, posing a significant threat to the planet's security. This situation underscored the dire circumstances faced by the Republic, especially considering the strategic importance of Eliadu and the broader implications for the galaxy's balance of power. In the heart of the galaxy, within the Inner Ring, the Galactic Republic has initiated a bold offensive against the planet of Malastare. This strategic move marks a significant escalation in the ongoing conflict, signaling the Republic's determination to assert its dominance over key territories. As the news of this offensive spreads across the galaxy, it captures the attention of various factions, each calculating the impact this development might have on their own positions and plans. The planet of Malastare, known for its strategic importance and rich resources, has become a focal point in the galactic struggle for power. The Galactic Republic's decision to launch this attack is not without risk. Malastare is heavily fortified, and its defenders are prepared to fight tooth and nail to protect their world. The ensuing battle promises to be fierce, with both sides willing to pay a high price for victory. As the Republic's forces advance, the galaxy watches with bated breath, aware that the outcome of this conflict could reshape the political landscape of the galaxy. Allies and enemies alike are forced to reconsider their alliances and strategies, knowing that the balance of power is about to shift. In this tumultuous time, heroes will rise, and legends will be born. The battle for Malastare is not just a fight for control of a single planet. It is a struggle for the future of the galaxy itself. Vol 2, Chapter 900, Secret Meeting. In the western territory of the Milky Way, within the Confederation of Independent Galaxies, lies the radiation range of the Dawn planet, and among its planets, Glenson stands out. This planet, once under the jurisdiction of the 19th Army of the former Republic, surpasses even Haven, the capital of the 19th Army, in size. It has become the most crucial transportation hub and the commercial and political heart of the Western region. Following the dissolution of the 19th Army and the Dawn planet's acquisition of 3/4 of its territory, Glenson has emerged as the front line in the standoff between the Dawn planet and the 18th Army of the Republic. Glenson's industrial foundation and infrastructure were already well developed, but recent expansions have transformed it into a colossal industrial base. Among its new additions is an Aganev-class interstellar base spanning 10,000 meters, alongside several operational spaceports and a multitude of interstellar docks. The planet's defense is bolstered by a formidable fleet consisting of 143 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers and 30 Sova-class aircraft carriers. Over the past month, the Fourth Civilization Navy has been rigorously training aboard these Dreadnought-class cruisers, preparing for refurbishment. Each battleship hosts 240 ordinary soldiers and 960 robots to manage its operations, with an additional 1,000 robots on standby. The increased interactions among the races of the Fourth Civilization have led to a diverse crew composition. Ewoks, Semers, Solarians, and Gewans are now common sights among the naval forces. The Ewoks and Semirs, in particular, often team up for engineering maintenance tasks, with the Ewoks navigating the pipelines and the Semirs handling heavy lifting, demonstrating seamless cooperation. Meanwhile, The Solarians lend their sharp logical thinking and swift reaction skills to the staff and intelligence departments, and the Gewans, known for their computational prowess, are invaluable to the technical department. Despite the need for extensive part replacements on these Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers, the Fourth Civilization Engineering Department has spared no effort in making necessary repairs and replacements. This has allowed the fleet to conduct almost daily training exercises, ensuring the crew becomes proficient with the Galactic Republic ships, which differ significantly in operation from other Fourth Civilization vessels. Such overt and large-scale preparations have naturally drawn the attention of the Galactic Republic's intelligence operatives, especially since Glenson was previously under Republic control. The Solarians' Ministry of National Security and the Military Intelligence Department, led by Mrs. M, have been vigilant, resulting in the frequent execution of Republic spies on Glenson. On the afternoon of March 27th, a convoy of transport ships bearing the Fourth Civilization's insignia arrived on Glenson. Simultaneously, the spaceport where the transport ship docked was sealed off. The 143 Dreadnought heavy cruisers ceased their training exercises and returned to their docks, which promptly resumed operations. In a secluded spaceport on Glenson, a spaceship with a deceptively simple exterior docked. Upon opening, its interior revealed an opulent design. A middle-aged man in his 50s, adorned in a white robe and assisted by 4 beautiful attendants, disembarked. He represented Lundili Interstellar Dynamics, marking the beginning of a clandestine meeting that could alter the course of the conflict. Gary Ulan stepped off the shuttle, greeted by a group of stunning attendants who led him to a pre-arranged meeting room. There, he was served exquisite desserts and black tea. Shortly after, Tang Xiao, the governor of Planet Dawn, made his entrance. With a warm smile, he welcomed Gary. "It's a pleasure to have you here, Mr. Gary. Please extend my regards to your father, Bangira Ulan." The man before Gary bore no resemblance to the ruffian depicted in the newsletter a month prior. It was as if Hey were 2 entirely different individuals. Despite feeling slightly irked by the reception protocol, which subtly positioned him beneath Tang Xiao in status, Gary maintained his composure. Per our agreement, the 178 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers require replacement parts, which have been delivered. Additionally, 50 engineering consultants have been dispatched to assist with repairs and oversee your fleet. Plus, a payment of 1 billion galactic credits, all in cash, he stated. Nearby, robots unloaded large crates from the shuttle, reminiscent of ancient times when gold and silver were used as currency. Galactic credit points, typically issued as credit ingots made from rare metals, were cumbersome and impractical for large transactions. However, in a universe where the Galactic Republic's credit was not universally accepted, these rare metal ingots remained a reliable store of value. Tang Xiao responded with a smile. "It appears your father is a man of his word, including sharing our battle plans with the Republic." Gary retorted with a sneer. "You can't possibly understand the pressure we're under. Directly supplying these resources to your separatist forces could have the Galactic Republic's fleet descending upon the Lundili galaxy by tomorrow. These parts and cash, funneled through black market channels, remain untraceable by the Republic. Yet, we in Lundili must still perform our due diligence, secretly tracking these shipments and reporting their movement." "It's irrelevant," Tang Xiao remarked casually. "What Bangira Ulan desires is for this fleet of warships to outmatch the Galactic Republic's Chariot-class battlecruisers, thereby proving the Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers' continued viability in combat." After a brief pause, Gary hesitantly spoke. "The reason for my personal visit is to discuss a proposal from my father. I'm uncertain if it will appeal to you." Tang Xiao offered a slight smile before his gaze shifted to the 4 attendants accompanying Gary. In an instant, the women collapsed, lifeless. "Now we can talk," Tang Xiao stated. Gary's expression darkened. "My concern isn't about these maids, who were fitted with perception-limiting devices. I'm worried that my father is sending you a perilous message." "Your father's vision surpasses yours, Gary Ulan," Tang Xiao replied, his tone chilling. "Remove your cumbersome robes and follow me, unless you'd prefer to share the fate of these unfortunate beauties." Vol 2, Chapter 908, The Most Powerful Weapon in the Galaxy. From the moment the four beauties perished with just a glance from Tang Xiao, Gary Ulan's expression turned exceedingly grim. Hearing Tang Xiao's words only served to darken his mood further. However, the demonstration of power from Tang Xiao made it clear that Gary Ulan's life was now in someone else's hands. Despite this, Gary Ulan was baffled. Tang Xiao was merely a planetary governor, and none of the intelligence he had gathered hinted at any special abilities. It dawned on him too late that his impulsive decision to confront Tang Xiao was a grave mistake. With his status, Gary Ulan was privy to the secrets of the Milky Way and aware of the formidable individuals within the Force's realm. Yet, he was oblivious to the fact that Tang Xiao was among these terrifying entities. Confronted with a situation beyond his control, Gary Ulan reluctantly shed his luxurious white robe for the casual attire Tang Xiao tossed his way. It had been years since he last dressed himself, and the task now felt awkward and cumbersome. Following Tang Xiao, they made their way to the tarmac, where Tang Xiao piloted a shuttle that soared into the sky, escaped the planet's gravitational pull, and leaped into hyperspace. "Where are you taking me? Do you understand the repercussions of abducting me?" Gary Ulan squirmed in discomfort, the coarse fabric of the casual attire chafing against his skin, making him feel as though it was being peeled off. "For the time being, you're more valuable to me alive than dead," Tang Xiao remarked nonchalantly as he navigated the spaceship. Exiting hyperspace, a planet enveloped in emerald green crystals came into view through the porthole. Without needing to consult the navigation data, Gary Ulan recognized their destination. "The planet Christopher Sis," he murmured, his voice heavy with solemnity. Instead of heading to the capital, Crystal City, the spaceship descended towards a secluded town surrounded by extensive crystal mining operations. This town served as the hub for the miners. As they disembarked and strolled through the town, Gary Ulan appeared visibly unnerved, especially at the sight of bounty hunters clad in full armor. He held his breath, too frightened to make a sound. "Don't worry, no one here will harm you without my permission," Tang Xiao assured him casually. "What do you want me to see?" Gary Ulan inquired. "Just observe," Tang Xiao instructed, gesturing towards their surroundings. They saw miners, weary from their day's labor, trudging along the grimy streets. Some headed to bars for a drink, while others returned home with their meager earnings to provide for their waiting families. They lived in a state of numbness, toiling daily for survival. Tang Xiao then led Gary Ulan to a bar, where they witnessed the lively atmosphere of workers unwinding and the mesmerizing performances of Tliek dancers. Their journey continued to a bustling city, where office workers diligently fulfilled their roles, each contributing their unique skills to their professions. They visited numerous locations on Christopher Sis, observing the diverse lives of its inhabitants. That night, they stayed in a modest hotel, the sounds of the street lulling them to sleep. Throughout their travels, Tang Xiao remained silent, allowing Gary Ulan to absorb the sights and sounds of the planet. Upon returning to Glenson, they found that the bodies of the four maids had been dealt with. During the cleanup, Helmut Zemo shared a disturbing discovery with Tang Xiao. The maids' sensory organs had been destroyed and replaced with controlled electronic devices. This meant they could only perceive what others allowed them to, effectively stripping them of their autonomy. Plunged into a profound, enveloping darkness, a measure of secrecy was maintained to shield them from knowledge deemed forbidden. Yet this act of concealment, juxtaposed with their unabashed indulgence, struck Tang Xiao as profoundly cruel. Upon their return, Gary Ulan eagerly reached for Ha's luxurious robe, only to halt under Tang Xiao's piercing gaze. "What did you witness?" Tang Xiao inquired, his tone light yet carrying an undercurrent of seriousness. A flicker of disdain crossed Gary Ulan's features before he responded. "I observed the lower echelons of the Republic. They're akin to screws, insignificant on their own, yet not without value." "Go on," Tang Xiao prompted. Gary Ulan continued. "The world is rife with injustices, a fact beyond anyone's control. This journey has indeed laid bare the vast disparities among people, a reality that is immutable. I was fortunate to be born into the Ulan family, while others were not so lucky, emerging into life in a miner's family. Such is the unchangeable nature of our existence." And Tang Xiao urged him to elaborate. Gary Ulan, with a hint of nonchalance, added, "But it's not as if we're doing nothing. There are numerous tasks we could automate with robots, yet we choose not to. We've preserved a multitude of jobs for these individuals, allowing them to earn a living, albeit with a fraction of a robot's efficiency. For the income they generate, we could easily equip them with 10 robots." "Then what?" Tang Xiao pressed. "If your intention was to highlight the disparity between the wealthy and the poor, then you're mistaken. I'm more aware of this divide than most, and we're constantly working to widen it. In my view, this growing gap is a sign of a functioning society, a testament to its effectiveness. After millennia of peace, the population on most planets in this galaxy has reached its peak. We're never short of alternatives," Gary Ulan explained, adjusting his casual attire. "Upon my return, I'll discard the attire you forced upon me and revert to my preferred fabric, nearly frictionless and weightless, ensuring my comfort at all times. This single garment's value surpasses the combined income of all the miners we encountered. This is an unalterable truth, Your Excellency Governor. Not even the might of your Dawn planet's fleet can change that." Tang Xiao offered a slight smile before posing his question. "And do you know what I saw, Mr. Gary Ulan?" "A lucrative bounty. The battle for Christopher Sis' planet was brilliantly strategized, and I've thoroughly analyzed the intelligence from that conflict. A crystal planet with a population of 35 billion. No wonder the recent trade expenses of your Dawn planet are so exorbitantly high," Gary Ulan remarked. "I saw." Tang Xiao's smile widened slightly. "A weapon, the most formidable weapon in the entire galaxy, currently aimed at the Galactic Republic." He approached Gary Ulan, his voice steady. "And the reason you're here is because this weapon is about to strike you. Rendili." Vol 2, Chapter 909, The Hand That Wields the Weapon. Gary Ulan wore an expression of smug anticipation, as if he had predicted the conversation's direction long before it began. With a sneer, he addressed the governor. "Your Excellency, is this the pinnacle of your argument? How many times do you think I've heard similar concerns? Farmers' uprisings, workers' riots, robot rebellions, calls for independence from the outer ring. Such topics might have been relevant before humanity ventured into the stars, but now?" He brushed off imaginary dust from his clothing, a gesture of disdain, and continued. "We live in the interstellar age, Your Excellency. The most the riotous workers and peasants can hope to wield are blaster pistols. Those dreaming of independence can only muster cargo ships with designs centuries old. But do you realize what we possess? Star destroyers." His sneer widened as he added, "And please, don't bother reminding me that the middle and outer regions of the Milky Way hold 2/3 of the galaxy's population and 4/5 of its natural resources. These facts are irrelevant. These resources are under our control because they lack the one thing that truly matters, industrial power. Even with the Confederation of Independent Systems fragmented, it's still the behemoths of the trade union battling us. In the end, it's merely a power struggle among the elite." In a dramatic gesture, as if to rid himself of the conversation's weight, he stripped off his clothes, standing bare, unable to tolerate the rough fabric any longer. "I appreciate your attempt to enlighten me with this experience, something I've never encountered before, and for that, I'm grateful. But let's return to reality and resume the game that befits our stature, shall we?" Gary Ulan's perspective was shaped by a lifetime of elite education, impervious to change from brief exposures to different ways of life. Tang Xiao, however, remained unimpressed, responding with a calm shake of his head. "The oligarchic system that has governed the Galactic Republic for 20,000 years might seem effective, granting people just enough to survive while ensuring the elite remain unassailable. You've always known who your potential adversaries were, effectively neutralizing them before they could pose a real threat." Gary Ulan listened silently, his stance clear without words. Tang Xiao continued. "You're aware that such ruthless exploitation leads to class divisions and resistance from the oppressed. By monopolizing technology and industry, you ensure that nothing capable of challenging your authority falls into their hands. Even in the ongoing galactic civil war, the Confederation of Independent Galaxies may champion freedom and equality, but their efforts do nothing for the lower classes. The construction of warships, the glory of battle, these are beyond their reach. It's not just about keeping them desperate. You also offer them a glimmer of hope. After sacrificing nearly everything, they receive just enough to keep them alive. Through exams and selections, you dangle the possibility of changing their lives, of ascending beyond their class. As long as this hope exists, the majority will not rebel. Gary Ulan responded with a vacant expression, and we call this the social system. Tang Xiao turned to face him, a hint of pity in his gaze. You see, Mr. Gary, I may not be the most persuasive speaker. In my relatively short life, I've witnessed countless transformations, not through debate, but through offering choices. I present people with an option. The choice is theirs. I merely add a D to their existing ABC options. He paused, then added, This option D has always been there, yet it vanished from your sight because you lacked the ability to see it. And I. As he spoke, he made his way toward the sofa. Passing by Gary Ulan, he casually raised his hand, and with a slight gesture, an invisible force pressed Gary to the ground. He then seated himself comfortably on the sofa, crossing his legs, and began, Weapons are controlled by hands, and it's precisely this hand we need to discuss. You're not suggesting that this hand is someone from our class, are you? Gary Ulan managed to say, despite the difficulty, his voice strained but determined. He was well versed in the dynamics of their class struggles, which, though predictable, were governed by certain unspoken rules. Breaking these rules meant harm to all involved. In your mind, even the conflicts within your class follow a predictable pattern, bound by these rules. But what if these rules were broken? The consequences would be dire, Tang Xiao explained calmly. That's exactly what we're discussing now, Gary Ulan replied. Tang Xiao scoffed, shaking his head. Don't lump me in with us, Gary Ulan. I'm not part of your doomed class. Your endeavors are futile and irrelevant to me, and so is that hand. His gaze turned icy. What he aims to create is a system far more efficient, extreme, and powerful. And in this system, Gary Ulan, you're in excess. Gary Ulan's expression darkened. That's impossible. Nothing is impossible. In this new system, everything will belong to him. Do you think he'll allow you to take what should be his? Tang Xiao posed the question, then pointed to his head. The most powerful weapons are faith and cognition. The so-called faith and cognition are the galaxy's collective belief in the Galactic Republic. Your existence, and everyone else's, hinges on this belief. But have you ever wondered why this civil war started? Redistribution of benefits. Gary Ulan interjected, a hint of anxiety in his voice. No, it's about eradicating that belief. That hand did what I did, but on a grander scale. He offered everyone in the galaxy a new choice. A choice where the Galactic Republic fundamentally doesn't exist. Can you imagine the chaos that would ensue if this choice were presented? Tang Xiao's smile held a trace of mystery. Even so, our status remains unthreatened. The class divide is insurmountable. Gary Ulan's retort sounded more like he was trying to convince himself than argue a point. Tang Xiao looked at him with a hint of pity. Are you certain? Among your so-called us, does everyone truly wish for the Galactic Republic to continue? Gary Ulan's complexion paled. With a sneer, Tang Xiao concluded, On our Dawn planet, this belief in cognition is referred to as the will of the people. Vol 2, Chapter 910, Secret Investment. The very notion that the Galactic Republic might not exist sent shockwaves through Gary Ulan's mind, shattering all his preconceived defenses. How could the Galactic Republic, a dominant force for 25,000 years, having triumphed over every external adversary and ruling the galaxy, possibly not exist? To individuals like Gary Ulan, who considered themselves part of the elite, the Republic's existence was an unquestioned truth. It was a given for everyone, from the core worlds to the outer rim planets that scarcely acknowledged the Republic's governance. After enduring invasions and challenges from formidable foes like the Infinite Empire, the Eternal Empire, and the Sith Empire, the Galactic Republic had always stood unyielded. Its presence was a constant, recognized for countless years past, and presumably for countless years to come. But now, faced with the unthinkable possibility of a galaxy without the Galactic Republic, Gary Ulan's mind raced with innumerable, radical implications. In the era of interstellar travel, the hearts of the people can no longer stand against the might of a star destroyer. But what if those who hold the people's hearts also command a star destroyer? That introduces a whole new paradigm, Tang Xiao explained. What I'm suggesting is this: undermining the very reason for the Galactic Republic's existence. And the people's heart is his weapon. He wields it to wage war, and with every minute the conflict persists, the justification for the Galactic Republic's existence diminishes until everyone believes the Galactic Republic is unnecessary. And when that day arrives, what then? A complete upheaval. Interests, factions, classes, races, everything will be thrown into chaos and reorganized, Gary Ulan responded, his voice tinged with despair. So, do you now understand why your father sent you here? Tang Xiao probed further. You're aware of the purpose behind my visit? Gary Ulan inquired. This was your father's decision, as well as Lundili's. I'm not privy to what he's encountered in the political arenas of Coruscant this past month, but it's clear he's made a choice, Tang Xiao stated. However, if you fail to grasp this, then his decision is not only futile, but doomed. Gary Ulan fell silent, the weight on his shoulders momentarily easing. He stood up, hesitated for a moment, then donned the plain clothes Tang Xiao had provided earlier. My father, Lundili Interstellar Power Company, wishes to enter into a series of investment agreements with Dawn Planet. I'm very open to that, Tang Xiao replied with a smile. We aim to make covert investments in Dawn Planet, encompassing the education and training of engineers and technicians, the construction of interstellar docks, and the extraction of various minerals. Additionally, these agreements include the design and production of subsequent models of the Victory-class Star Destroyer, Gary Ulan explained. We plan to orchestrate an incident where the designs for the Victory-class Star Destroyer leak into the black market, making it plausible for the Victory-class Star Destroyer to join the battle formations of Dawn Planet. And what are the terms? Tang Xiao inquired directly. Status, Gary Ulan answered. Lundili hopes to maintain the status quo. Tang Xiao's smile turned cold. Maintain the status quo? It seems even your father, Bangira Ulan, is oblivious to the transformative shifts occurring in the galaxy. If you wish to preserve the status quo, then you're destined for failure. You don't even need me, or the one stirring the galaxy, to bring about your downfall. You're on a path to failure all on your own. What are you trying to say? Gary Ulan asked. Do you believe in the saying, when the nest is overturned, no egg remains unbroken? Tang Xiao looked at him pointedly. Why do you think that when the Galactic Republic, Gary Ulan stood in silence for a moment before responding. Father believes that regardless of how Planet Dawn reacts, the investment plan will proceed. Can negotiate the conditions gradually. Take this last opportunity to make your own decision. That's my condition, Tang Xiao stated. I've added option D to your list of choices, but the decision is yours to make. With those words, he departed, leaving no trace behind, as if he had never been there at all. Gary Ulan, left alone, wore a grave expression and made his way directly to his spaceship without further delay. His mind was already processing the vast amount of information he had received today, and he knew he needed to return to planet Randili immediately to inform his father, Bangira Ulan. Gary Ulan's clandestine visit and the secret investment agreement that Lundili Interstellar Dynamics was preparing to finalize with Planet Dawn were merely the initial ripples in a vast ocean of a looming grand war. The gears of war were inexorably turning, gaining momentum with each passing moment. Indeed, as Tang Xiao had been showing Gary Ulan around planet Christopher Sis, an unprecedented battle was already unfolding on the western border of the Milky Way. This battle's scale and scope far surpassed any previous conflict that Planet Dawn had been involved in. Thousands of warships engaged in the fray, with the battlefield spanning several planets, including Marathar, Eliadu, Glenson, Suluster, and Terminus. Even the Golden Rock planet and Jaeger-Dur planet, though relatively distant from the main battlefield, witnessed related skirmishes due to the outbreak of this larger conflict. Eventually, the battle even reached the expansion territories of the fourth civilization, the Kuna cluster and their core, the Endor galaxy. Such was the extent of the conflict that even planet Lundili, a core world of the Galactic Republic, found itself embroiled and nearly overwhelmed by the chaos of battle. The individuals who had initiated this campaign Whether it was Tang Xiao, Severance Tan, Schiff Palpatine, or Wilhoff Tarkin, could never have anticipated the battle's eventual magnitude. The conflict was vast, the proceedings brutally harsh, and the duration unexpectedly long. From March 12, 21 BBY, when Admiral Severance Tan launched a surprise attack on planet Malastare, to the end of April, 20 BBY, when planet Iliadu was finally overtaken, the battle raged for an entire year. The Fourth Civilization, emerging as the ultimate victor, paid a steep price with over 7 million soldiers lost in action. The Galactic Republic suffered even greater losses, to the extent that the Coruscant regime felt compelled to conceal the true extent of the battle and keep the outcomes shrouded in secrecy. On March 33, 21 BY, the Galactic Republic's 20 Chaser-class battlecruisers emerged from hyperspace into the Malastare Fjord, marking the commencement of this year-long campaign in the West. Vol 2, Chapter 911, The Battle of the Western Frontier. The outbreak on planet Malastare, the most crucial hyperspace channel in the Milky Way, lies an essential part of the southern side of the Hydia Channel. The Malastare Fjord, with its unique environment, has become a necessary passage for this hyperspace channel. Although Marathar is not the sole route connecting the galactic inner circle and the Cesvena sector, the destruction of another major hyperspace route, the Rima trade route, by separatist forces has made this location the optimal choice for the large-scale transportation of fleets and materials. However, the sudden raid on the Malastare system by separatist Admiral Severance Tan, without any warning, has severed this vital shipping lane. This raid is particularly devastating now, as the Dawn planet's Blade fleet is stationed on planet Glenson, poised to invade planet Iliadu at any moment. If the traffic through Malastare cannot be restored swiftly, the consequences for planet Iliadu could be dire. Aboard the flagship of the Galactic Republic fleet, the Negotiator, a Chaser-class battlecruiser, a clone commander in combat armor adorned with yellow shoulder armor posed a question. General Obi-Wan, I've always wondered, how did Severance Tan manage to appear on Malastare out of nowhere from the planet Renson? His combat armor bore the serial number CC-2224. Obi-Wan Kenobi, clad in a brown sackcloth robe, stood at the center of the bridge and explained, she used the Force to navigate, even forcing her way through the chaotic hyperspace turbulence to allow small fleets to pass. Master Chorus Cerbus once attempted this method to lead the Galactic Republic's exploration fleet into the unknown star realms. He both succeeded and failed. Obi-Wan sighed. He did manage to bring the expedition fleet into the unknown star territory, but no one, including himself, returned alive. Anakin and I were fortunate to have left the spaceship early due to an emergency, thus avoiding the catastrophe. From the other side of the bridge, a young, magnetic voice chimed in. Severance Tan, a general of the Chiss, is force-sensitive and was trained by the Sith Lord Death Angel. As a member of the Chiss, a race from the unknown star fields, her understanding of hyperspace turbulence naturally surpasses that of others, giving her an advantage. Obi-Wan turned to see the speaker, a young human man in his early 20s, whose appearance was strikingly handsome. His thick black hair was neatly parted in the middle, with strands on his forehead dyed golden. Unlike other Jedi Knights, this young man wore a black, discreet combat uniform made of expensive fabrics, reinforced with polymer alloy armor at critical points. This attire was a departure from the simple teachings of the Jedi Knights. You seem to know her well, Ferrus Olin, Obi-Wan remarked. I have made it my mission to understand every threat emanating from the Dawn planet. I've also dedicated considerable time to studying the actions of the Death Angel, Ferrus Olin replied coldly. Unlike you, Obi-Wan, I cannot accept the death of my master, Siri Taki. I am determined to make the Dawn planet and the Angel of Death pay. Siri Taki. Obi-Wan's expression grew complex, tinged with an indescribable sentiment. That's why I'm here. However, he quickly regained his composure and added solemnly, the last person who acted out of hatred was Shen Zhan. His fate was tragic, defeated, dead, and consumed by the dark side. I'm not afraid. I'm no longer a Jedi Knight. No one can stop my quest for vengeance, Ferrus declared, his resolve unwavering. Orlin roared in frustration, his emotions raw and palpable. Standing beside him, Clone Commander CC-2224, known as Cody, responded with a cold detachment. Then, Mr. Ferris, since you are no longer a member of the Jedi Order and are participating in this war as a civilian, you will need to follow commands in the upcoming battle. That's final. Of course, if your intention was merely to hitch a ride to Maratha, consider yourself already here. No need for thanks. Severance Tan is just across the way. Throughout their journey, Commander Cody harbored a growing dislike for the young man, whose actions seemed driven by a mix of hatred and perhaps other, less discernible emotions. This was especially true whenever Ferris used the Siritaki incident to mock Obi-Wan Kenobi. "I will follow the command, as long as it does not conflict with my objectives," Ferris Olin stated, his voice strained as if he were speaking through gritted teeth. "My only regret is not being present at the Battle of Terminus. If I had been there, perhaps my master might not have perished." Obi-Wan Kenobi approached Ferris, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. Ferris attempted to shrug it off, but Obi-Wan's gentle use of the Force kept him in place. "Dwelling on what-ifs will only trap you in a cycle of endless self-blame from which you'll never escape. The Angel of Death is, without a doubt, the most formidable adversary in this galaxy. Even Master Windu suffered greatly at his hands, sustaining serious injuries. Our focus should not be on seeking vengeance with a blade, but on moving forward step by step until we ultimately prevail." "I understand your perspective, Obi-Wan General," Ferris replied, emphasizing the title with a mix of respect and sarcasm. "As a general, your judgment may indeed be sound. However, I once believed that you and your master were close allies and partners. It appears I was mistaken." Obi-Wan's expression softened, a slight twitch at the corner of his mouth, but he chose not to respond. At that moment, the display screen at the front of the battleship flickered to life, projecting the image of a female Jedi Knight. Her complexion was sallow, and she wore a large headdress, indicative of her status. "Master Obi-Wan, we have confirmed that all Separatist warships have entered the atmosphere of planet Maratha. However, they show no signs of initiating an orbital bombardment," the Jedi Knight reported. Obi-Wan nodded, his expression thoughtful. "What do you believe their plan to be, Master Luminara Unduli?" "I suspect they aim to avoid a direct confrontation with our fleet, opting instead to stall for time," Luminara responded, her tone analytical. "This strategy doesn't seem characteristic of Severance Tan, though." Chapter 912, Battle of the West, The Landing. "It's not wise for a general as formidable as Severance Tan to be predictable in her tactics," came the voice from the flickering screen, revealing the projection of a female human Jedi in her 50s. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luminara Unduli bowed in respect, greeting her. Master Keep Shi, a veteran of the Battle of Malastare Fjord over a decade ago, had single-handedly turned the tide of that conflict. She defeated the combined fleet of the Corporate Alliance, saving the planet Malastare. Since then, she had stepped back from the front lines to delve into the mysteries of the Force. Yet, with the war reigniting on Malastare, Master Yoda had called upon her to lead the fleet in aid of the beleaguered planet as its commander-in-chief. "Using the Force to guide us, we can't bring a large fleet, and currently, the main fleet of the Confederation of Independent Systems is not in this sector. They're gathered in the Antares system under General Grievous's direct command," Master Shi explained. "I believe Severance Tan's decision to bring her fleet into the planet's atmosphere is a stalling tactic, creating an opportunity for a surprise attack on the planet Eliadu." Obi-Wan Kenobi approached the holographic battlefield star map, highlighting that all 35 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers of the Separatists were concentrated near Pixel City's capital on Malastare, effectively besieging it. "How does the situation look on the ground?" Master Shi inquired. Master Luminara Unduli, responsible for intelligence, reported, "The Separatist army has breached Pixel City and is currently engaged with the local defenders. Despite their historical animosities, the Grands and Dugs have united against the common threat." Master Shi frowned. This unity is suspicious, given the deep-seated enmity between the Grands and Dugs. It's hard to believe they would set aside their differences so readily. Obi-Wan added, "Councillor Einlatim of the Grands publicly condemned the separatist actions of the Granites of Golden Rock. He pledged loyalty to the Galactic Republic, vowing to fight to the end on Malastare." That does alleviate some of my concerns. We must initiate the landing operation swiftly. The arrival of our ground troops will bolster the defenders' morale and resolve, Master Shi stated. The task won't be simple, Master Shi, Luminara cautioned. The Separatist cruiser's firepower can cover the entire Eastern Hemisphere where Pixel City is located. We'll have to land in the Western Hemisphere. We don't have the luxury of time to circumnavigate tens of thousands of kilometers to engage the Separatist ground forces directly. We must act now, Master Shi declared. Master Obi-Wan, the raid is yours to lead. And you, young one, ensure your anger does not cloud your judgment. Ferris Orin, understanding she referred to him, responded, I will remain focused until the Angel of Death is defeated. Clone Commander CC-2224, known as Cody, affirmed the 212th Attack Battalion will execute this raid flawlessly. Under Master Keep Shay's command, the 20 Chaser-class battlecruisers sprang into action. The fleet split into 3 groups, with 10 battleships ascending to 100,000 kilometers above Pixel City, maintaining synchronous orbit with the planet. Meanwhile, the rest prepared for the crucial next phase of their plan. All 4,000 fighters took off and immediately launched a decisive attack on the Separatist fleet hovering over Pixel City. Under the protective wing of more than 4,000 fighter jets, 3 Cheer-class assault landing ships began their forced descent amidst the intense firepower of the Separatist fleet. Simultaneously, the remaining Chaser-class battlecruisers, grouped in 5s, penetrated the planet Malastar's atmosphere from both the North and South Poles, engaging the Separatist fleet in direct combat. As a formation of thousands of V-19 Riptide and ARC-170 fighter jets dove towards the planet, they were greeted by an unexpected sight. The seemingly endless sea of clouds below them suddenly parted, revealing countless energy beams shooting upwards, piercing through the clouds with intense heat. Where these scorching beams passed, large gaps were torn open in the cloud cover, followed by a barrage of anti-aircraft missiles. Caught off guard, the Republic fighter formation quickly dispersed, attempting to dodge the onslaught. At such close range, relying on sensor scans to predict the enemy's turret movements for early evasion was impossible. The pilots could only maneuver erratically, hoping their jet's evasive speed would outpace the turret's tracking, thus avoiding a direct hit. The anti-aircraft fire was relentless, and hundreds of fighter jets were lost in the initial exchange. Meanwhile, the Republic's Chaser-class battlecruisers retaliated, adjusting their main guns to minimize atmospheric damage while targeting the Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers below. Explosive energy beams rained down, dispersing the clouds and revealing the battlefield in full clarity. Upon entering the atmosphere, the Republic fighter pilots had to reduce their speed significantly to prevent the air resistance from tearing their jets apart, a fate that awaited anyone attempting to maintain space velocities in atmospheric flight. Fortunately, the distance to their target was not extensive. Soon, the Republic fighters broke through the cloud cover, and the landscape below came into sharp focus. Cities, fields, jungles, and mountains sprawled beneath them, along with the 35 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers suspended in the air. At that moment, every hidden turret on the Dreadnought-class cruisers sprang to life, their barrels aiming skyward as they unleashed a torrent of firepower. The Separatist warships simultaneously opened their hangar platforms, releasing a swarm of fighters. These compact, 5.4-meter-long fighters, slightly larger than the Vulture droid fighters and lacking wings, consisted of 3 ridge-like structures. Their agility far surpassed that of the Vulture droids, and they swarmed out to confront the Republic fighters. The V-19 light fighters stood no chance against this new type of fighter, and a significant number were shot down almost instantly by the triple-structured droid fighters. Attachment 1 of the Easter Egg Chapter, Triple Robot Fighter. Vol 2, Chapter 913, Battle of the West, Radical Tactics. The Tri-Droid Fighter, a collaborative creation by Cola Designs and Flak Ufuk Robot Industries under the Technology Alliance, is manufactured on the industrial world of Cola 4. This fighter was designed with the intention of outmatching the Galactic Republic's formidable ARC-170 heavy fighter through superior speed and firepower. Equipped with a heavy laser cannon, 3 light laser cannons, and 12 shock missiles, the Tri-Droid fighter sacrifices shielding for the sake of meeting its substantial energy requirements. Despite being slightly less agile than the Vulture droid fighter, its firepower is significantly superior, marking it as a highly successful design. Measuring 5.4 meters in length and costing under 30,000 credit points, it represents a modest increase in size and cost compared to the 3.6-meter-long Vulture droid fighter, which costs 19,000 credit points. However, the leap in combat effectiveness is substantial, as the Vulture droid's firepower struggles against the ARC-170, whereas the Tri-Droid fighter can easily take it down. In the current battle, the Republic's V-19 Torrent light fighters stood no chance against the Tri-Droid fighters. As a key member of the Confederation of Independent Galaxies, and with the recent initiation of the Eliadu Planetary Raiders, this new fighter type, despite its limited production, was prioritized for deployment to Planet Dawn. Now, over the planet Malastar, the appearance of the Tri-Droid fighters has inflicted severe losses on the Republic's fighter squadrons. By the time the Republic's fighters could pose a threat to the dreadnoughts, they had already lost over 500 ships to anti-aircraft fire and the Tri-Droid fighters. The Republic fighter jets entering the atmosphere resembled a meteor shower, their hulls igniting due to atmospheric friction. Then, a larger inferno erupted in the sky as 3 794-meter-long Cheer-class assault landing ships descended through the clouds. Upon reaching an optimal altitude, their hangar doors opened, releasing hundreds of LAI assault transports filled with clone troopers. Under the cover of fire from warships and fighter jets, a forced landing was executed around Pixel City. Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi and Clone Commander CC-2224, known as Cody, led the 212th Assault Regiment to the city's northern outskirts. The clone troopers swiftly set up temporary defenses using portable shield generators and formed battle groups to advance towards Pixel City's core. Following them, LATC cargo transports delivered additional armored units from the battleships, including ATTE all-terrain tactical assault walkers, TX-130 Sabre-class battle tanks, AV-7 self-propelled artillery, and Swoop-G hoverbikes. With the ATTE walkers positioned, the clone troopers adeptly set up heavy howitzers behind them, establishing long-range fire support positions. They then commenced the initial bombardment of urban areas identified as harboring secessionists. Meanwhile, in the skies above, after breaking free from the Republic's fighter engagement, squadrons of Tri-Droid fighters dove towards the Republic's artillery positions, bombarding them without mercy. "General, our landing site has been secured and artillery positions have been established," reported a clone trooper, signaling the beginning of a new phase in the battle for control over the planet. Clone Commander CC-2224, known as Cody, approached General Obi-Wan Kenobi with a report. Obi-Wan, peering through his binoculars, surveyed the distant Pixel City, engulfed in the chaos of war. His gaze then shifted to a Dreadnought-class heavy cruiser, adjusting its course towards him. Shaking his head, he instructed, "Inform the warship that establishing a landing field here is not feasible. We need to advance the front to the outskirts of Pixel City first. See that factory? Direct our ATTs towards it immediately." "Understood," Cody responded with a crisp salute. Obi-Wan returned to his observation, his brow furrowed. "This dreadnought appears alter, Ed. Could the Separatists have modified it?" Meanwhile, in the synchronous orbit above Malastar, the situation was equally tense. "Master Cap, our ground forces have successfully landed. The first wave of 8,000 clone troopers has deployed from 3 directions, and the operation is proceeding smoothly," reported a holographic projection of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Commander-in-Chief Kepu Shai, stationed on the flagship's bridge, acknowledged the update. Yet, the aerial battlefield remains a concern. The Separatist warships, still looming at high altitudes, pose a significant threat, primarily targeting our fighter jets. We cannot rule out the possibility of them shifting focus to our ground forces. The Air Force is engaged in fierce combat, but overcoming the enemy's new triple robot fighters, numbering 2,000, is challenging. Their advanced technology, coupled with the firepower of their warships, puts us at a disadvantage, added a projection of Jedi Master Luminara Unduli, currently participating in the aerial battle. Kepshi pondered the situation. We cannot allow the Separatist warships to compromise our battle strategy. I'll order the main fleet to approach the planet within 50,000 kilometers and intensify our artillery bombardment. That's too risky, Obi-Wan countered. Our warships must limit their firepower in space to avoid collateral damage, a constraint the Separatists do not share. The fighter jets remain our primary force. Achieving air supremacy is crucial. How soon will the assault teams at the poles engage? Kepshi inquired further. Projections of 2 other Jedi Knights appeared, delivering their reports. The Antarctic Commando Team is expected to engage 4 Separatist Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers in an hour. Our fighter jets have already launched, one reported. The North Pole Commando Team will make contact in 37 minutes. We're currently engaging the Separatists, but their triple fighter jets pose a significant threat. To sustain our combat capabilities, we've opted not to escalate our fighter formation aggressively, the other added. Kepshi, with a determined tone, declared, we must adopt a more aggressive strategy. Before the Separatist warships can bombard our ground forces, we need to disrupt their formations. Yes, came the unified response. Kepshi, studying the holographic battlefield map, mused, if we merely delay action within the atmosphere, our strategy will undoubtedly fail. Severance Tan, the renowned general of the Republic, surely you have more up your sleeve? Vol 2, Chapter 914, Battle of the Western Frontier. Stalling time. With a steady hand, a sea blue-skinned figure delicately lifted a cup of black tea to her lips, savoring the rich aroma before setting it down. Her bright red eyes, momentarily closed in appreciation, snapped open as she turned her attention to the holographic projection of the battlefield displayed before her. Despite the cacophony of artillery fire, the hail of bullets, and the flames visible through the bridge's porthole, the Dreadnought-class heavy cruiser remained as unyielding as a fortress. The Republic's fighter groups, in their relentless assaults, launched proton torpedoes and invisible beams from the sky, aiming to breach the warship's defenses. Yet, these attacks, set to a safe power level, barely scratched the cruiser's shield, adding more spectacle than threat to the ongoing battle. Dressed in a snow-white Fourth Civilization Navy general uniform, her long black wavy hair framing her exotic features, the Chiss female general, Severance Tan, exuded both heroism and otherworldliness. The battlefield she monitored was not terrestrial. It spanned the vastness of outer space. Report on the fighting situation at the North and South Poles, Severance Tan commanded, her voice indifferent. Our outpost formation has engaged the Galactic Republic's battleships. As anticipated, the Republic has deployed all its fighter jets, reported a woman standing before Severance Tan. Clad in a bright red combat uniform with a black cloak draped over her shoulders, her soft blonde hair and golden eyes would have been striking if not for the dullness that had overtaken their usual sparkle. A beautifully crafted black belt, adorned with a purple spider encasing a kyber crystal, cinched her waist, a dark reminder of her past. Siri Taki, once a Jedi Knight, had faced a tragic fate at the hands of Darth Marthael during the Battle of Terminus. Killed and then resurrected by the Dark Sith Lord, she was subjected to torture that led her to succumb to the dark side. The Spider Belt, a creation of Sith alchemy by Darth Marthael, served as a sinister tool to stabilize her dark side force. It's as expected. They aim for a decisive battle with my fleet to reinforce Pixel, the capital of Malastare. Without knowledge of the ground battle's status, their only choice is to proceed with the landing operation to bolster the Gran and Dag's resolve. Their strategy is not flawed, Severance Tan remarked with a sneer. But all their actions have been anticipated by you, Siri Taki observed. Indeed, their seemingly flawless plans are built on a false premise. Without realizing it, they're playing right into our hands, Severance Tan declared. Siri Taki responded in a subdued tone, her voice devoid of its former conviction. Standing opposite her, the former Jedi Master, Adi Gallia, reported with a blank expression, currently, 20,000 clone troopers have landed on the planet, along with heavy equipment. 3 Cheer-class assault landing ships, each with a capacity for 16,000 soldiers, means they've deployed about half of their forces. Precisely as expected, Severance Tan concluded, snapping her fingers. Now, it's our turn to act. Yes, Siritaki agreed, her response automatic as she turned to leave. However, Severance Tan halted her departure. "You stay, Siritaki," she commanded. Siritaki paused, confusion evident in her tone. "But according to the plan, I should accompany the fleet." Severance Tan's sneer widened. "The plan has changed. I've just received information that the negotiator has been spotted within the Republic fleet's ranks." The clone troopers were engaged in a fierce battle in the northern part of Pixel City. It was revealed that the forces belonged to the 212th Commando Regiment, indicating the presence of Jedi Knight Obi-Wan Kenobi. Upon hearing his name, Siritaki's expression momentarily shifted from numbness to shock, before quickly reverting back to indifference. "He is our enemy," she stated. "Enemy? Are you certain he's not a form, our lover?" Severance Tan teased, eyeing her with a playful look. "In the Jedi Order, romance is forbidden. Obi-Wan and I were merely close comrades in arms," Siritaki clarified, adding, "And now, my loyalty lies with my master. I am devoted to fulfilling his commands and orders." Severance Tan replied coldly, "It's unfortunate, then, that our master seems to have no interest in you beyond your service." "My loyalty remains unwavering," Siritaki responded firmly. Severance Tan outlined the new battle plan. "You will remain in Pixel City, taking charge of the battle to the north." Siritaki agreed without hesitation. Shortly after, a modified elite-class Viking fighter launched from the hangar of the Dreadnought-class heavy cruiser, heading towards Pixel City. This development went unnoticed amidst the chaos of the battlefield. The Galactic Republic was deploying forces at the poles of the planet Malastar, aiming to break through the Separatist fleet and support Pixel City. Above the city, Republic forces, including 3 Cheer-class assault landing ships and nearly 4,000 fighter jets, engaged in a fierce battle, deploying clone troopers to the ground. Meanwhile, in space, 10 Chaser-class battlecruisers closed in on the planet, bombarding it from a distance of 40,000 kilometers. The focus of the battle was on Pixel City and the 35 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers looming overhead. Suddenly, the cruisers began to adjust their orientation, their bows pointing towards outer space, seemingly preparing to counterattack the Republic fleet. However, a series of explosions revealed their true intention. The explosions tore away the camouflage, exposing external antimatter thrusters. With the activation of the antimatter propulsion, the 35 Dreadnought heavy cruisers propelled themselves towards outer space, leaving the battlefield in shock. On the bridge of the Blade, the flagship of the Confederate Fleet of Independence, Severance Tan sat with a sneer. "You were correct. I did intend to delay. But who said delay means staying in one place?" This maneuver was a strategic surprise, demonstrating the cunning and unpredictability of the Confederate fleet's tactics. Vol 2, Chapter 915, Battle of the West, Assault. The 35 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers, the Fourth Civilization, had ingeniously concealed external antimatter thrusters on their ships. When they were installed remains a mystery. Now, these Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers were swiftly ascending towards outer space, propelled by the antimatter thrusters. This unexpected maneuver stunned the entire Galactic Republic's army. Why would they undertake such a risky move, effectively abandoning their ground forces? Observing the antimatter thrusters, it became clear this was a premeditated strategy. But what was their ultimate goal? Regardless, it was too late for the Republic to counteract whatever the Separatist fleet had planned. Overcoming the gravitational pull of A-class planets like Malastar was a significant challenge. Typically, fighter jets required a long acceleration phase to reach the third cosmic speed and escape a planet's gravity. With 35 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers departing, over 2,000 triple robot fighters remained in the atmosphere, posing a dilemma. Should they continue the fight and risk becoming easy targets in their attempt to reach space? This was particularly concerning for the 10 Chaser-class temporary cruisers and 3 Cheer-class assault landing ships that had entered the atmosphere. These massive warships would need to divert all their energy to the engines for acceleration, a process that demanded time. The Separatist Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers, equipped with external antimatter thrusters, could swiftly exit the planet's atmosphere. On the ground, Obi-Wan Kenobi, overseeing the operations, peered through his binoculars at the Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers accelerating towards space. A realization dawned on him, turning his face pale. Not good. Their target has been Master Keep She from the start. Master Keep She herself came to the same conclusion. Viewing the holographic projection of the battlefield, she stated with a grave tone, "We've been outmaneuvered." The Separatists prepared antimatter thrusters, seemingly retreating into the atmosphere to buy time. In reality, they were waiting for us to split our forces and enter the atmosphere. Then, they could swiftly return to space and strike us with a temporal advantage. She quickly turned to the intelligence department. How many troops do the Separatists have on Malastar now? The intelligence officer replied, "The data from Malastar is conflicting. Initial reports suggested the Separatists had around 50,000 troops, but later estimates indicated over 1 million. However, based on our surveillance from a nearby outpost, 3 Lucre Hook-class battleships have been deployed here, suggesting the Separatist ground forces number between 300,000 and 500,000. But why would they abandon such a significant force? Exposing them to our warship's firepower doesn't make sense, pondered Keep She. Regardless, prepare for battle, raise the shields and adjust all weapons to combat frequency. As the order was executed, dozens of powerful turbo laser cannons fired from the planet's surface. The few hits that landed caused strong ripples on the shield of a Chaser-class battlecruiser. The 35 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers, having escaped Malastar's gravitational pull with the aid of the antimatter thrusters, jettisoned the now redundant thrusters, which exploded and turned into space debris. These cruisers, now in formation, unleashed a relentless barrage of artillery fire on the Republic fleet, resembling a pack of hungry wolves in their ferocity. Captain Xiao, commanding the Republic fleet, made a startling discovery. The 35 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers, previously thought to be randomly positioned, were actually strategically arranged in an artillery formation within the atmosphere. This formation, while lacking three-dimensional depth in ground combat, proved to be perfectly suited for their current situation. Without the need for repositioning, the cruisers could open fire directly. Meanwhile, the 10 Chaser-class battle crews, RS in outer space, now devoid of their fighter jets, were left with no choice but to engage in an artillery duel. Severance Tan's fleet, having meticulously divided the Republic fleet, seized the moment to launch a ferocious assault. The Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers, designed as gunboats, thrived in this chaos. Despite their relatively modest length of 600 meters and the absence of large hangar platforms for fighter jets, their robust shields and powerful turbo laser cannons made them formidable opponents. The Republic fleet found itself in a dire predicament almost instantly. "General, the Sky and Tomorrow battleships have lost their shields. The shields of 4 other battleships have fallen to the critical 20% threshold. We can't sustain this much longer," a fleet commander reported to Captain Xiao in a panic. "It will take 40 minutes for the warships on planet Maratha to retrieve the fighter jets and return to space," he continued. The ARC-170 fighter jet formation has started their ascent into space, with the Separatist triple robot fighters in pursuit. They are expected to arrive in 10 minutes. "General, we must act now." Jedi Master Kaipu Shai, faced with these dire circumstances, knew that escape was not an option. Waiting for reinforcements would only result in further losses, especially with the enemy poised to exploit any attempt to withdraw fighter jets and warships from the atmosphere. Without hesitation, she commanded, "Order all ships to immediately dive into the atmosphere of planet Malastar. All units within the atmosphere are to maintain combat readiness and not to come for reinforcements." But entering the atmosphere under these conditions will expose us directly to the enemy's main battleship firepower, a staff officer objected. "We have no time to lose. I will personally pilot a fighter to provide cover," Kaipu Shi declared firmly. "Understood." Meanwhile, on the flagship of the Fourth Civilization Fleet, Severance Tan received an update. "General, the Republic battleships are heading straight for us. Entering the star's atmosphere is their only chance of survival, but it will leave them vulnerable to our firepower. Ensure the fire team is ready to seize this opportunity." Furthermore, Severance Tan turned to Adi Gallia. "The enemy will likely have a Jedi Knight providing cover. The responsibility falls to you. Why do you assume I would turn against my former comrades in arms? Adi Gallia responded coldly. Because you must realize that for the Galactic Republic, for the Jedi Order, this is a no-win situation. Is it the Jedi Order that is doomed, or are we, in fact, fighting against our destiny? The choice is yours, Severance Tan replied, his voice devoid of emotion. Vol 2, Chapter 916, The Battle of the Western Frontier, A Tragic Defeat. Above the planet Maratha, in the vast expanse of outer space, 40,000 kilometers from the surface, a fierce battle unfolded. 10 Chaser-class battlecruisers and 35 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers were locked in a deadly dance, their heavy turbolasers firing relentlessly. From this vantage point, Maratha loomed large, and the continuous barrage of turbo laser beams from both fleets resembled a macabre display of fireworks over the planet. The Republic's warships adopted an aggressive posture, charging headlong towards the Confederate fleet of the independent galaxy. Their goal, however, was not to engage in battle, but to break through and escape into the planet's atmosphere, thus avoiding total annihilation. In a last-ditch effort, both sides deployed their remaining fighter jets. The Republic fleet had fewer than 100 V-19 Rapids light fighters, while General Severance Tan of the Confederation of Independent Systems had at her disposal 350 triple droid fighters. The disparity in both the quantity and quality of the fighters put the Republic fleet at a significant disadvantage. Master Keep Shea led a squadron that included a Jedi apprentice and a Jedi Knight piloting Delta 7 fighter jets. They represented the Republic fleet's last hope. If they failed to inflict damage on the flagships of the Confederate fleet and sow confusion, their chances of reaching the atmosphere were slim. Pushing her fighter's engine to its limit, Master Keep Shea accelerated to a staggering 2,000 G. Despite the planet's gravitational pull, causing her jet to shudder violently with each burst of speed, she pressed on. Like a bolt of lightning, she plunged into the formation of triple droid fighters. The droid's AI couldn't lock onto her at such high speeds, allowing her to take down 7 droid fighters in a mere 10 seconds. Suddenly, a volley of energy beams targeted her, forcing Master Keep Shea to veer left, only to find another barrage waiting for her. "Dark Jedi Knight," she muttered through clenched teeth. Checking her radar, she was shocked to discover a Delta 7 fighter jet, painted in the blue and white colors of the Confederation, leading a formation of 10 triple droid fighters straight towards her. "Traitor," she whispered, before spinning her jet around to engage the enemy Delta 7 in a fierce dogfight. Despite her efforts, the enemy jet dodged every shot with ease. Under the command of the traitorous Delta 7, the droid fighters began their assault from various angles. The V-19 fighters, manned by clone pilots from Master Keep Shea's squadron, stood no chance against the droid fighters and were quickly overwhelmed. In the midst of the chaos, the Dark Jedi Knight, piloting the enemy Delta 7, seized an opportunity to counterattack. A cry of alarm sounded over the communicator, just as the Jedi apprentice's jet was struck by multiple energy beams, exploding into a fireball that was swiftly extinguished in the vacuum of space, leaving behind only debris. Then, a familiar face appeared on Master Keep Shea's screen. "Surrender, Master Keep. This is your only path to survival." "Master Adi Gallia, I thought you were dead," Master Keep Shea responded, her voice tinged with sorrow. "I didn't expect." In the vast expanse of space, 2 Delta 7 fighter jets darted through the void with such speed that they seemed to defy the capabilities of electronic tracking systems. Amidst this high-stakes chase, one jet demonstrated superior agility, outmaneuvering its counterpart with a series of calculated moves that eventually cornered the fleeing craft. A barrage of blaster fire rained down upon the slower jet, piercing its wing and sending it spiraling out of control. The damaged fighter was engulfed in a relentless onslaught of blaster beams, culminating in a fiery explosion that marked its demise. The destruction of their leader's craft sent shockwaves through the Republic fighter formation, leaving them vulnerable to the overwhelming force of the triple robot Phi Goddard formation. The ensuing battle was a one-sided massacre, reminiscent of swatting flies, as the Republic forces were decimated with ruthless efficiency. Meanwhile, a fierce confrontation unfolded between the 35 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers and 10 Chariot-class battle cruisers. The relentless bombardment from the dreadnoughts shattered shields and armor alike, sending a gruesome mix of armor fragments and corpses adrift in space. Despite the heavy damage sustained, the dreadnoughts continued their assault, their turbo lasers carving through the Chariot-class cruisers and igniting a series of catastrophic explosions. One Chariot-class battlecruiser, unable to withstand the continuous barrage, met a devastating fate. An explosion at the bow hangar platform compromised its structural integrity, igniting the explosive materials stored within. The resulting chain of explosions tore the battleship apart, sending its remnants plummeting towards the planet Malastar. The remaining Chariot-class cruisers, though severely damaged and aflame, made desperate attempts to breach the planet's atmosphere. However, the damage to their gravity generators rendered controlled descent impossible. Subjected to intense air friction and heat, their already compromised hulls disintegrated mid-air. Another cruiser suffered a direct hit to its bridge, effectively turning it into a drifting steel coffin that was gradually pulled into Malastar's atmosphere by the planet's gravitational pull. This harrowing scene of destruction and loss unfolded against the backdrop of the unforgiving void, a stark reminder of the brutal realities of war. Vol 2, Chapter 917, The Battle of the West, Conspiracy. In the aftermath of a devastating series of battles in outer space, the Republic fleet, which originally consisted of 10 Chaser-class battlecruisers, was reduced to only 4 that remained relatively intact as they entered the atmosphere of planet Malastar. The sky was littered with the fragments of the fallen warships. Smaller pieces were incinerated upon re-entry, while larger debris crashed onto the planet's surface, causing significant damage. The Republic fleet had suffered heavy losses. Severance Tan, leading a formation of 35 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers, did not linger in the area. Except for 3 battleships that were too severely damaged to move, the remaining 32 ships activated their hyperspace engines and departed. This formidable fleet passed through the planet Harlan Karl, which had recently aligned with the Confederacy of Independent Systems, and then navigated the Rima trade route towards the planet Sarest. Their final destination was the industrially advanced planet of Celeste, where they would pose a strategic threat to the Republic's 18th Army, which had launched several attacks in the area. Severance Tan and Adi Gard-Leah planned to return to the planet Glenson via shuttle. The planet Sarest was poised to play a crucial role in the upcoming general assault on the planet Eliadu. Meanwhile, on the surface of planet Maratha, Obi-Wan Kenobi gazed up at the sky, watching the fiery debris of the battleships fall. His expression was one of silent contemplation, his lips trembling slightly with a mix of fear, sadness, and perhaps anger. "We've been outmaneuvered by the Separatists," Ferrus Orin admitted, his voice tinged with regret. Under any other circumstances, Master Keep Shai's fleet wouldn't have suffered such a devastating defeat. Without the support of fighter jets, the Chaser-class battlecruisers stood no chance against a force 3 times their number of Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers. Ferrus Orin's previous arrogance had vanished, replaced by a somber realization. He acknowledged his own role in the decision that had led to this disaster. He understood that the Separatist general, Severance Tan, had expertly manipulated their strategy, setting a trap they had unwittingly fallen into. This experience had made Ferrus Orin acutely aware of how far he was from achieving his desire for revenge. Severance Tan employed a similar tactic once on Geonosis. Today, she simply reversed it, Obi-Wan Kenobi observed. She withdrew her ground troops, knowing full well that even with only half of our battleships remaining, and with the support of our fighter jets, we would still pose a significant threat. But is it really that straightforward? 2 Delta 7 fighter jets descended from the sky, landing smoothly in an open area nearby. The cockpit doors opened, and 2 female Jedi Knights emerged. Both were Mirialans with pale complexions. The elder, around 30 years old, was Jedi Master Luminara Unduli, and the younger, not yet 20, was her apprentice, Barriss Offee. Luminara approached and shared her observations. "The Separatist tri-fighter drones have retreated. I had been puzzled about how they could deploy so many fighters with only 35 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers. It appears they must have seized some airports and military bases on the planet. Barris Offee, looking up at the sky with concern, mentioned, "But Master Cape, she has become one with the Force," Obi-Wan Kenobi stated solemnly. "But our battle must continue," Luminara Unduli declared with resolve. "If we falter now, consumed by grief, Master Keep's sacrifice will have been in vain. Our air power needs to be regrouped, and tomorrow we will launch an assault on the Separatist-controlled areas in Pixel City." As she glanced back at the sky, she noticed the Republic's fighter squadrons returning to the battleships for repairs. Approximately 3,000 fighters were now without a base. These fighters landed at makeshift airfields or sought assistance from local government forces on Gren and other planets, preparing for the next phase of their relentless struggle. The tension was palpable as Obi-Wan Kenobi discussed the strategic implications of providing spaceports for berthing with the Gren. His concern was evident as he pondered the motives behind Severance Tan's decision to leave the Separatist ground forces behind. Severance Tan has demonstrated time and again that she is among the galaxy's finest commanders. Every move she makes is calculated with a profound purpose. So why did she choose to leave the ground troops? Obi-Wan mused, his expression grave. Ferris Olin attempted to rationalize the situation, suggesting, "As I've mentioned before, 35 dreadnoughts cannot outmatch 10 chariots if they have fighter cover. Preserving the fleet's strength must be her priority." However, Obi-Wan was not easily convinced. Shaking his head, he recalled a painful lesson. The last time we oversimplified her strategy, it resulted in the tragic loss of Master Keep Xie. Ferris Orin, growing impatient, pressed, "Then what do you propose we do?" Obi-Wan outlined his plan with a calm resolve. "Tomorrow, Master Luminara will oversee the air power cover, while you lead the ground troops in an assault on Pixel City. Meanwhile, I will covertly enter the city to engage with the leaders of the Gron and the Dag." Ferris Orin was taken aback by Obi-Wan's unexpected strategy, but soon his eyes blazed with determination. He nodded firmly. "I will confront every Separatist soldier and crush them utterly." Obi-Wan continued, "Our warships are ill-suited for a direct bombardment of Pixel City. I will instruct the fleet commander to blockade the area surrounding Pixel City, severing any potential aid from the Separatists. Once we reclaim Pixel City, whatever scheme Severance Tan has concocted will be exposed." On March 35, 21 BY, the battle for Pixel City commenced with the thunderous roar of ATE tactical assault walkers and the AV-7 self-propelled artillery. The sky was lit with the explosions of powerful shells raining down on the outskirts of Pixel City. Leading the charge was the TX-130 Saber-class assault tank, at the forefront of the Galactic Republic's Clone Corps' initial assault. The relentless bombardment caused the ground itself to shudder. Deep within the city's underground command center, Major General Xiao Guanghua of the 4th Civilization Army and Commander-in-Chief of the Ground Forces in the Battle of Maratha stood resolute. Each explosion sent a shower of dust cascading from the ceiling, prompting him to wipe the dust from the holographic projection screen for the umpteenth time. Surveying the battlefield map, where the clash of red and blue forces was depicted, he spoke with a deep, unwavering voice. "General Severance Tan has already set her plan in motion and departed. Now, it's up to us." Vol 2, Chapter 918, Battle of the Western Frontier, Street Fighting. Justin Reeves, the commander of the 4th Army, stood beside Xiao Guanghua, his imposing figure clad in dark N7 battle armor. Despite the menacing aura he exuded, he casually brushed dust off a pink rabbit toy attached to his waist. Xiao Guanghua had known Justin for a long time and always regarded him as a formidable killing machine. Despite Justin's habit of carrying around a stuffed toy, Xiao Guanghua found this trait particularly chilling. He believed that Justin had entrusted the remnants of his kindness and humanity to these plush toys, allowing him to execute his duties without emotional burden, making him more relentless than any machine. Xiao Guanghua turned his attention to another man, Shi Aimin, who was meticulously cleaning a shield made from frick alloy. Shi appeared less intimidating than Justin and had an air of simplicity about him, emphasized by his middle-parted hair. "Are you ready, Shi Aimin?" Xiao Guanghua inquired. Shi Aimin laughed heartily. Leave it to me, Chief. Liberating the people of Malastare from the Galactic Republic's grasp is my duty, he proclaimed. Xiao Guanghua was slightly taken aback by the informal title, but knew better than to underestimate Shi Amin. Despite his unassuming appearance, Shi had undergone extensive enhancements, making him a formidable force. So be it. Now Xiao Guanghua declared, I will initially deploy 3 robot formations to assault the Republic's forces from the south, north, and east. The Army's 2nd Mechanized Infantry Brigade will proceed with the planned attack on the DAG-controlled western sector. Justin Reeves, Shi Amin, each of you will lead an elite unit to strike at the Republic. Understood, they responded in unison, ready to fulfill their mission. Xiao Guanghua then turned to Siritaki, a blonde beauty standing quietly in the corner. I'm still puzzled by General Severance Tan's decision to involve you. The troop formations are already set, and it seems imprudent to insert you at this juncture. For now, stand by, and when the Jedi Knights of the Republic make their move, you'll be called to action. Siritaki nodded, her expression unreadable. The battle commenced with a barrage of heavy artillery fire. Republic clone troopers advanced towards their objectives in well-coordinated groups. They targeted strategic locations such as factories, hotels, and transportation hubs. Leading the charge were the TX-130 Sabre-class assault tanks, probing the defenders' firepower, followed by the formidable ATTEs at the core of the assault. The city seemed to awaken with the initial bombardment as countless robots poured out from buildings and basements, ready for combat. The B-1 battle droids and B-2 super battle droids launched a relentless assault on the clone troopers, advancing fearlessly and continuously firing. Among the robotic legions were numerous DW-1 dwarf spider combat machines. Despite their small size, these machines were highly versatile, capable of navigating all terrains and even scaling vertical walls to unleash heavy laser cannon fire on the clone troopers. Xiao Guanghua had meticulously prepared for this confrontation. Although unable to deploy the Injoli Avengers 101 biochemical weapon for unspecified reasons, he compensated by deploying a significant number of DW-1 dwarf spider robots to bolster his forces. The combat prowess of his robotic legion, particularly the DW-1 dwarf spider combat machines, posed significant challenges for the Republic. They found themselves having to prioritize these machines, which clung to the walls of nearly every building, before they could advance further. Ferris Olin, wielding his blue lightsaber, deflected a laser beam shot by one of the dwarf spider combat machines. With a powerful leap, he soared over 10 meters into the air and cleaved the machine on the wall in 2. Meanwhile, an AT walker raised its body and fired, demolishing a third of the building across the street. From the rubble, a swarm of B-1 battle droids, M9, urged, firing relentlessly. However, they were quickly decimated by the ATE's anti-infantry scattering laser cannons, which obliterated a large area. The clone troopers, providing cover for one another, swiftly entered the building. Inside, they eliminated any remaining droids, establishing sniper positions and setting up E-Web heavy blaster machine guns for added firepower. After dispatching a few more dwarf spider combat machines, Ferris Olin, leading a squad of clone troopers, stormed into a commercial building. With his lightsaber, he eliminated the most threatening droids, paving the way for the soldiers to follow. Once the building was secured, it was repurposed as a temporary command and logistics supply center, stocked with communication equipment, ammunition, medical supplies, and food. Clone Commander CC-2224, known as Cody, approached Ferris. Since General Obi-Wan has appointed you as commander, I'll follow your lead for now, civilian. Our scans have detected a battlefield 1 kilometers from here, where the Granites are engaged in a fierce battle with separatist forces. The situation is dire, and I suggest we assist them. Currently, we're attacking from 3 directions with a total force of less than 50,000. Given the size of Pixel City, we'll need the support of these local armies. Ferris Olin nodded in agreement. I support your plan, Cody. As long as our goals align, I won't be a hindrance. Cody responded. That's reassuring. General Obi-Wan trusts you, and I hope, through the upcoming battle, any doubts I have will be dispelled, though not merely through words. Ferris smirked and nodded in acknowledgement. Suddenly, a clone trooper rushed in, reporting anxiously, Commander, we've been attacked near a shopping mall on the East Wing. It's the Black Army, the Fourth Legion from Dawn Planet. Cody, frustrated, slammed his fist on the table. Organize a counterattack immediately. We can't let them inflict more damage. Justin Reeves withdrew a dagger from a gap in the armor at a clone trooper's neck, the severed aorta spurting blood. He kicked the lifeless body aside. His squad, the 4th Legion soldiers clad in N7 combat armor, were busy clearing the battlefield, ensuring no incapacitated clone troopers were left alive. A minute later, Justin signaled his team. They quickly understood, splitting into groups of 3 and moving into strategic positions within a bunker to establish crossfire. The faint sound of approaching footsteps alerted them. Justin glanced at the sensor on his wristband, and before the clone troopers could react, his team opened fire. The M96 Pickaxe semi-automatic assault rifles burst into action, delivering rapid, double bursts that took down the leading clone troopers. Volume 2, Chapter 919, The Battle of the West, The Black Legion, Part 1. Since the Battle of Christopher Sis, the 4th Legion, clad in black, has become infamous across the Galactic Republic. Their notoriety stems not only from their formidable presence, but also from their superior equipment, surpassing even that of the clone soldiers. The few recovered corpses and pieces of equipment from the battlefield revealed the exceptional performance of their N7 combat uniforms. These uniforms boast remarkable defense capabilities against energy weapons, and astonishingly, each soldier is equipped with a personal shield. The miniaturization and mass production of these shields have been significant challenges for the Galactic Republic. Yet the forces from Dawn Planet have remarkably overcome these hurdles. Moreover, each soldier is outfitted with an advanced personal terminal on their wrist. This device serves multiple functions. It processes battlefield data, manages personal status, controls drug administration, operates the shield, and includes hacking tools. It can even transform into a combat dagger, small tool, and even pliers and scissors. The versatility and innovation of this equipment are simply astounding. The kinetic energy weapons wielded by these soldiers have demonstrated a remarkable penetration effect on the aggregated alloy armor of clone soldiers, leaving the military technical experts of the Galactic Republic in awe. These weapons, designed to detonate with built-in explosives upon confirmation of the soldier's death through the personal terminal, have prevented the recovery of complete samples. However, after meticulous research, Republic scientists discovered traces of a supermaterial reaction within the weapon's wreckage. They deduced that these weapons' ability to penetrate polymer alloy armor stems from a special fuel typically used in spacecraft for hyperspace jumps. The application of this material in weaponry remains a mystery that the Republic scientists are desperate to unravel, prioritizing the acquisition of a complete sample above all other technological pursuits. The investment in each soldier of the 4th Legion, with their black combat uniforms, is estimated to be more than 10 times that of a clone soldier. Fortunately for the Galactic Republic, the number of these troops is relatively small, estimated at around 10,000, which has somewhat limited their potential for causing more extensive damage. Yet, whenever the 4th Legion has engaged in battle, the Galactic Republic has faced complete defeat, with no victories to claim. This formidable force has thus earned the moniker the Black Legion within the Republic Army. Military analysts within the Galactic Republic have concluded that the 4th Legion's training regimen starkly contrasts with that of the clone troops. While clone soldiers undergo training focused on frontal combat, the 4th Legion specializes in special operations, including behind-enemy line sabotage, battlefield sneak attacks, and urban warfare. The Dawn Planet strategically deploys the 4th Legion in scenarios where they can maximize their combat effectiveness, consistently outperforming the clone troops. The reemergence of this force on the planet Malestar has triggered alarms within the Republic's command. Clone Commander CC-2224, known as Cody, urgently communicated, "Notify General Obi-Wan and General Luminara immediately. The Black Legion appears again. Request air support and continue bombing the haunted areas." Ferris Orin, puzzled, inquired, "The Black Legion? What is this?" Cody responded, "The ace unit of the Dawn Planet, our most formidable adversary." Communications continued to flood in. Company 1113 is under attack. Request support. The direction of the battle was about to take a dramatic turn with the Black Legion's involvement, signaling a challenging confrontation ahead for the Galactic Republic. The chaos of battle enveloped the area as urgent calls for support echoed through the comms. The Maul has lost contact. We need air support, came one desperate plea. Another voice urgently reported, there's a sniper nest on the 4th floor, direction G77. Have the ATTE take it out. Amidst the cacophony, a distress call from the No. 6 artillery position cried for help. Commander Cody, after a moment of contemplation, issued his orders through the communicator. Notify all units to immediately pull back to the front lines. Air Force bombing will commence in 10 minutes. The ATTEs, massive in their stature, finally unleashed their fury. Their powerful heavy howitzers fired 3 consecutive shots, engulfing the targeted building in a barrage of artillery fire. The force of the explosions was so immense that it severed the building into 2 parts, starting from 2/3 of its height. Despite the intense counterattack from the 4th Legion, the clone troopers managed to retreat in an orderly fashion. Their formations remained disciplined and organized, leaving no opportunity for the enemy to disrupt their ranks. In the midst of the retreat, Justin Reeves, armed with a semi-automatic assault rifle and a pickaxe, managed to take down 2 clone troopers with precise headshots. Without pausing to celebrate his small victory, he rolled to the side and leaped through a gap just as the area he vacated was bombarded with a dense volley of energy beams, reducing the concrete structure to rubble. A heavy grenade followed, exploding with a deafening blast. Justin had already moved to the other side of the building by then. The shockwave from the explosion and the flying debris hit his personal shield, causing ripples, but his expression remained unchanged, and he didn't even stoop. As a soldier of the highest caliber, he was well aware of the potential threats of enemy fire, understanding the structural integrity and resistance of his cover. He felt no need to dodge attacks that posed no real threat to him. The clones are retreating. Expect airstrikes or artillery coverage. Find cover, Justin warned through the comm link in a deep voice. The channel fell silent as everyone understood their roles without needing further instructions. The soldiers of the 4th Civilization quickly set up booby traps in areas unlikely to be targeted by the bombing. Then, they too withdrew from the battlefield, heading towards the underground bunkers for safety. Moments later, a squadron of ARC-170 heavy fighter jets swooped low, launching a volley of cluster missiles before strafing the ground with their heavy laser cannons. High above, a swarm of V-19 Torrent light fighters engaged in fierce dogfights with enemy droid fighters, providing cover and creating opportunities for their allies. Then, 3 PTB-625 bombers, each 30 meters in length, entered the battlefield. The ARC-170s, having completed their initial bombing run, ascended to join the aerial combat, offering protection for the bombers. These slow-moving, yet devastatingly powerful PTB-625s dropped their proton bombs directly onto the previously occupied positions of the 4th Army. The detonation of the proton bombs was cataclysmic, nearly flattening the entire area. The ground shook as if experiencing a magnitude 6 earthquake, a testament to the overwhelming firepower of the Galactic Republic's arsenal. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, Galactic Republic PTB-625 Bomber. Vol 2, Chapter 920, The Battle of the Western Frontier, The Black Legion, Part 2. The ground trembled under the relentless assault of the proton bombs, each explosion sending shockwaves through the earth as if heralding an earthquake. Amidst the chaos, a soldier from the 4th Legion, clad in an N7 combat uniform, casually chewed bubblegum. He blew a large bubble, which popped as he took a precise measurement with the rangefinder integrated into his universal tool. Without missing a beat, he rolled the gum back into his mouth and continued chewing. Justin Reeves, glancing at the readout on his universal tool, inhaled deeply. The GH-13 area has collapsed. We've lost 3 brothers. The surrounding soldiers, also from the 4th Legion, responded with a silent tribute, striking their chests 3 times in unison. Justin then gestured towards the cracked support column of the underground air defense bunker. This is the kind of devastation only a proton bomb can cause. We can't stay here. Move to the next combat zone. That's too easy, remarked the bubblegum-chewing soldier, eyeing the nearby mountains of ammunition and supplies. Justin tapped the front of his helmet, eliciting a few disdainful chuckles from the group. He then stood, shouldered his weapon, and made for the exit. The others quickly set to work, placing explosives among the ammunition and supplies. The gum-chewing soldier prepared a high-explosive bomb, setting it to detonate on a timer. With a final act of defiance, he spat out his gum and stuck it over the timer's display, ensuring it was completely obscured. 10 minutes later, as clone troopers launched another assault, Ferris Orin, commanding the front line, suddenly ordered a retreat into the bunkers. Moments after, a massive explosion rocked the entire block, turning it on its head. Obi-Wan Kenobi, donned in a simple brown robe, navigated the complex urban battlefield to reach the headquarters of the Grand Resistance Army in the city's west. Upon his arrival, he was immediately confronted by several irate Grand Generals. "You reckless spice addicts! How dare you deploy a proton bomb in our city?" they accused. Obi-Wan, realizing the gravity of the situation, quickly tried to explain. "We may have faced an enemy of unimaginable strength, necessitating such measures. The formidable foe you mention has plagued our homeland for weeks, repelled only by the blood and bravery of our soldiers. Our planet's survival has been at their expense, yet we refrained from using such weapons. This is our city, our homes, and civilians are still present. Your Republic owes us an explanation," the Grand General fumed. "This will not happen again," Obi-Wan promised hastily. "Then, issue the order now. Until then, we have nothing further to discuss," the General demanded. Left with no choice, Obi-Wan activated his communicator, instructing the clone commanders to cease the use of proton bombs immediately. All air units, including the PTB-625 planetary bombers, were to engage only with conventional weaponry. The Grand General's demeanor softened slightly, yet his anger lingered. "I want to know, when will you drive the Separatists from our planet? We've already repelled the Separatist fleet. Their ground forces are stranded. With time, victory is assured," Obi-Wan responded confidently. "Repelled? Did you not see the debris from the Chariot-class battlecruisers falling from the sky yesterday? Where are the remains of the Separatist ships? Because of that debris, 110,000 of our people were killed and millions displaced. How can you claim victory under such circumstances? Can you assure me that you can win?" The Grand General's voice was tinged with anger once more. Obi-Wan Kenobi inhaled deeply before responding. "The Separatist forces are merciless. Of that there is no doubt. On nearly every front, our soldiers have faced massive casualties. Yet they have unwaveringly stood in defense of every civilian, protecting families and their homeland. No matter the severity of the battle, they have not retreated an inch." He continued, "In times such as these, unity is paramount. Thus, our military efforts require your cooperation." The Grand General waved his hand dismissively. "Currently, we have 400,000 troops stationed within the city. The exact number of DAG people remains unknown to me, and frankly, I have no desire to know. Moreover, there are still countless civilians within the city awaiting evacuation. Consequently, Pixel City's survival is heavily reliant on external supplies. The first order of business is ensuring these supplies reach us. We have at our disposal 10 Chaser-class battlecruisers, 3 Cheer-class assault landing ships, and over 6,000 fighter jets of various models to guarantee a steady flow of supplies to Pixel City. Furthermore, we propose the establishment of a joint command to coordinate our operations," Obi-Wan Kenobi proposed. "I can agree to this, but make no mistake, our soldiers are not to be used as cannon fodder. They are sentient beings with families and children, not like the cold-blooded clones under your command," the Grand General retorted. "On behalf of the Republic, I extend our gratitude for your cooperation," Obi-Wan Kenobi said, bowing. "May the Force be with you." Exiting the Granite Command Center, Obi-Wan Kenobi let out a soft sigh before mounting his Swoop G hoverbike and heading towards the city's eastern sector. There, the command center of the DAG people was located. Despite facing a formidable enemy, the animosity between these two races persisted, leading them to confront each other instead of uniting against the common threat. To the city's west, the Grand people mounted their resistance, while to the east, the DAG people stood their ground. The situation was dire enough to leave even Obi-Wan feeling apprehensive about their chances of repelling the Separatist onslaught. It seemed as though the survival of an entire planet hung in the balance. In a jungle on the outskirts of Pixel City, a soldier of the Fourth Civilization Army, clad in a Liberator II combat suit, lay in wait. Sitting across from him, Xiamen took a swig from an army green canteen, glanced towards the forest's edge, and casually waved his hand, saying, "After making our way out of the city, you must be exhausted. Rest here for a bit. I'm off to check on an artillery position." With those words, he picked up his shield, crafted from frick alloy, and stepped out of the woods. Watching him leave, Huang Yehao rolled his eyes and muttered under his breath, "Idiot." Vol 2, Chapter 921, Battle of the West. Super soldiers' gunfire and explosions echoed from the front, signaling a fierce battle underway. Huang Yehao and Cummings, leading their troops, concealed themselves in the jungle, observing the conflict with a strategic eye. The distance made it impossible to see the action directly, leaving them to rely on the sounds of battle and the limited information provided by their satellite-connected universal tool, which only displayed radar signals without detailing the ongoing fight. Huang Yehao assessed the situation. Ahead, 3 AV-7 self-propelled artillery units were positioned, guarded by at least 40 clone troopers. These soldiers were armed with web-heavy blaster machine guns, anti-aircraft missiles, rocket launchers, and other formidable weapons. Behind him, Huang Yehao had 210 soldiers at his command. He knew that taking the artillery position would be a challenging task, likely to incur significant losses. The 4th Legion, to which Huang Yehao belonged, had a history of victories against the clone army of the Galactic Republic. However, these successes were relative. The clone troopers were known for their agility, precision, teamwork, and stamina. They were a fearless force, willing to charge into the fray against even the most daunting odds. To overcome clone troopers on the battlefield, the Fourth Civilization's army typically needed to outnumber them by more than 5 times, assuming equal air support and firepower for both sides. Yet, the Galactic Republic's resources often ensured they had the upper hand in terms of air support and heavy equipment. As the battle raged on, the sounds of conflict began to thin out. It was then that Huang Yehao received a communication. He glanced at his universal tool, a piece of advanced equipment reserved for high-ranking officers like himself. The message was a direct order from Major General Xiao Guanghua, commander of the Marathal Theater. Destroy the Galactic Republic's bomber airfield. The order included detailed information on the location and troop deployment of the airfield. The PTB-625 planetary bombers, though powerful, required extensive logistical support. The destruction of half the Republic's battleships by Severance Tan had left around 4,000 fighter jets without a base, forcing them to relocate to other spaceports on the planet. With the ongoing air combat pressures, the more than 2,000 triple robot fighters of the Confederation of Independent Systems, though fewer in number, posed a significant threat to the Republic's fighters. This situation had prioritized warship hangars for fighter use, relegating the resource-intensive PTB-625 bombers to ground-based spaceports, which could barely accommodate their needs. Understanding the strategic importance of this mission, Huang Yehao prepared his troops for the task ahead. The objective was clear: to strike a significant blow to the Republic's air capabilities by targeting the vulnerable bombers on the ground. The challenge was daunting, but the potential rewards were too great to ignore. With careful planning and execution, they hoped to tip the balance of power in their favor. Huang Yehao was astounded by the level of detail in the information they had received. To execute their plan, a convoy consisting of 10 Warthog off-road vehicles and 40 Mongoose off-road motorcycles had been assembled in a village located 5 kilometers away. Cummings, peering over at Huang Yehao's device, inquired, "What's this? A new mission?" Huang Yehao switched off the device and nodded gravely. "We're looking at a raid over a distance of 450 kilometers. To evade the hunter-level scans from above, we'll need to navigate through forests and mountainous terrain. We'll also have the support of the remaining triple robot fighters." Cummings, with a smirk, commented, "Tough mission, but that guy knows his stuff on the battlefield." Huang Yehao understood immediately who Cummings was referring to, a gesture well known within the Fourth Civilization Army, and simply smiled in response. As they conversed, the sound of gunfire in the distance ceased, replaced by the sight of smoke billowing into the sky. Shortly after, a squadron of V-19 Rapids light fighter jets soared overhead, prompting Huang Yehao to signal his soldiers to take cover and lie low. Moments later, Shi Aimin returned, his characteristic goofy grin plastered on his face. "Hey, why are you all on the ground? Get up! I've taken care of that artillery position," he boasted, slinging a still-smoking Frick alloy shield over his back. This rare material, primarily used in the construction of the IG-100 guard robot's high-voltage electric rod to withstand lightsaber attacks, was difficult to obtain due to the Interstellar Banking Association's monopoly. However, thanks to Tang Xiao and Thornhill's connections, acquiring this material for shields was feasible. Despite the barrage of blaster rifle fire, the shield merely heated up without being penetrated, a testament to its effectiveness and Shi Aimin's prowess on the battlefield, rivaling that of Jedi Masters. Despite his formidable abilities, Shi Aimin's simplicity and lack of malice, coupled with his notably low emotional intelligence, made him an odd yet endearing figure. Huang Yehao, maintaining his composure, briefed, "We have a new mission, to raid a spaceport where the Republic operates the PTB-625 planetary bomber. I've sent you the mission coordinates and vehicle storage location." Shi Aimin, uninterested in the details, dismissively waved his hand. "Leave the planning to you. I'll focus on taking down the enemy." "Haha. Oh, and I could use some high-calorie nutrition bars." "The supply point is over there. Help yourself," Huang Yehao replied, his tone icy. Shi Aimin, unfazed by Huang Yehao's demeanor, cheerfully made his way to replenish his supplies. 5 hours later, under Huang Yehao's command, they launched a daring raid on a large spaceport, once owned by the Grand People, but now under the Republic's control. Vol 2, Chapter 922, Battle of the Western Frontier, Doubt. The roar of engines filled the air as 40 M274 Mongoose off-road motorcycles and 10 M12 Warthog off-road vehicles charged across the wide flat terrain surrounding the spaceport. After deploying their infantry, these vehicles utilized their exceptional mobility to launch a relentless assault. The M274 Mongooses were equipped with 2 M8 Avenger assault rifles, modified to fire magazines loaded with 2,000 steel pins. A simple electrical device allowed the trigger to be operated from the vehicle's handlebars, providing supporting fire. Meanwhile, the M12 Warthogs were armed with M68 Gauss cannons, offering heavy fire support to the light infantry unit. This attack caught the Galactic Republic's forces completely off guard. They were baffled as to how this small contingent managed to discover the highly secretive spaceport from hundreds of kilometers away and execute a surprise raid. The spaceport was defended by 100 clone troopers and over 400 Grand Troopers, along with 5 PTB-625 planetary bombers and 10 V-19 Torrent light fighters. When the attack commenced, the V-19 fighters scrambled, only to be met by a squadron of triple robot fighters. A fierce aerial battle ensued. Seizing this moment, Huang Yehao led his company in a fierce charge towards the spaceport. The M274 Mongooses and M12 Warthogs darted around the spaceport, unleashing a barrage of bullets and shells on the defensive positions. Simultaneously, other soldiers split into combat teams, attacking from multiple directions. Cummings from semis, wielding a deflector shield, led the charge. He also operated a 6-barrel blasting machine gun mounted on his back, laying down suppressive fire. Huang Yehao, leading a small squad, executed a flanking maneuver. With precise bursts from his Defender assault rifle, he took down several Grand soldiers. After advancing, he slid into cover behind a bunker. Suddenly, a volley of energy beams struck, instantly killing several soldiers from the Fourth Civilization Army beside him. "Clones!" Huang Yehao yelled, as he pulled 2 grenades from his belt and hurled them towards the enemy. The grenades exploded, sending a shockwave and shrapnel flying. However, before the dust settled, the enemy's blasters fired again. "Aren't these damn things afraid of grenades?" Huang Yehao cursed. He grabbed his communicator and ordered, "Deploy the 2 destroyers." Two M12 Warthogs then released their destroyer robots, which unfolded and unleashed a relentless barrage from their dual-mounted blaster cannons. After a brief but intense exchange, the enemy position fell silent. Huang Yihao led his team forward to secure the position and press on. Suddenly, a rocket exploded against the shield of a destroyer robot, causing its shield to flicker violently. In that moment, a figure dashed forward with the speed of a cheetah, barely visible to the naked eye. He intercepted a second rocket with his shield, the explosion propelling him backward. Mid-air, he twisted his body and eliminated the clone trooper who had fired the rocket with 2 shots from his M96 pickaxe semi-automatic assault rifle. Landing gracefully, he raised his shield and charged forward. Dodging and weaving, he made most of the incoming blaster fire miss, while his shield blocked the rest. As he advanced, he continued to eliminate targets, demonstrating both bravery and skill in the heat of battle. Huang Yihao and his team, armed with semi-automatic rifles and pickaxes, charged through several heavily fortified positions. As the battle turned against them, the grand soldiers began to retreat, with some even turning to flee. The clone troopers, outnumbered, struggled to defend the entire spaceport, finding themselves overwhelmed. The 5 PTB-625 planetary bombers, having exhausted their ammunition, started to take off for evacuation. However, Huang Yihao and his team were prepared. They launched their pre-arranged anti-aircraft missiles at the ascending bombers. The missiles, equipped with reflective coatings, and thermally insulating ceramic shells, were designed to withstand the bombers' laser turrets' frantic attempts at interception. Despite the lasers' efforts, which took several seconds to destroy a missile, the anti-aircraft missiles exploded against the bombers' deflector shields, followed by another volley. On the ground, M12 Warthog off-road vehicles joined the attack, firing their M68 Gauss cannons into the air. The 25mm x 130mm steel projectiles, traveling at hypersonic speeds, penetrated a bomber's shield and destroyed its engine, causing it to crash in a fiery explosion. Despite the efforts of V-19 escorts and Republic fighters bombarding ground targets, the bombers could not be saved. 4 of the PTB-625 bombers were destroyed by ground fire during their ascent, and the last was taken down by a trio of robotic fighters in the sky. The loss of these bombers was significant not because of their cost, but because, in operations far from the supply lines of rear planets, it was impractical to rely on such large, consumable assets. Reinforcements would focus on sending more soldiers, weapons, and ammunition instead. The planet Malastar's strong resistance and the Separatists' precise raid on the bomber spaceport resulted in the Galactic Republic losing this strategic advantage in less than 2 days. The Republic was forced to continue the fight with ground troops in street battles. After establishing a joint headquarters between the 2 major races on Malastar, the Gran and the Dag, Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi could finally oversee the entire battle. He reviewed the operational briefing with a frown, expressing his concern. "I always feel that something is wrong. The Separatist army seems to have an endless supply of rockets and mines for their operations." Luminara Unduli shared his suspicions, adding, "Their attacks on our bombers were also peculiar. Their intelligence was too precise. Why is that?" The situation hinted at a deeper issue, suggesting that the Separatists might have access to insider information or advanced reconnaissance capabilities, raising questions about the security of Republic operations and the need for a reassessment of their strategies. Vol 2, Chapter 923, Zero Modal Probability on Jagar Dur, the home planet of the Givens, in the year 21 BBY, on April 1st, a unique discussion unfolded. General Ling, your formula is incorrect. According to zero modal probability, the solution to this equation should be a random distribution model consisting of 372 numbers, but you've only accounted for 370. This discrepancy will cause the entire mathematical model to collapse, rendering your solution invalid, explained a Shaman, gesturing towards the screen. The Givens are a distinctive species, characterized by their external skeletal structure, enveloped in a layer of tough, dry skin, devoid of any hair. Their appearance, reminiscent of mummified corpses or the ghostly figures from Scream, is the result of evolution in the harsh conditions of the 3-body galaxy Jagar Dur. This unique anatomy allows them to seal every orifice, maintaining internal air pressure and enabling them to endure extreme temperatures, pressures, and even the vacuum of space. Does this mean my result is incorrect? Ling Liang, feeling a mix of disappointment and relief, pushed the computer away and massaged her forehead. At the moment, she wasn't donning the uniform typical of a Fourth Civilization Army general. Despite commanding a starfleet with numerous kilometer-class warships and millions of soldiers under her command, she wore a casual t-shirt and had her hair tied back in a simple ponytail, looking more like a woman enjoying a workout at the gym than a military leader. If you aim to be a respected mathematician, you have a long way to go in terms of computational skills. Moreover, diving directly into zero-modal probability without a foundation in limit theory, game theory, fuzzy mathematics, and starting with quantum mathematics might not be advisable, the Given remarked. Firstly, I'm not mathematically challenged, Ling Liang retorted. Secondly, I'm interested in your zero-modal probability theory because I believe it could enhance my strategic command in battle. Zero-modal probability theory has proven ineffective on the unpredictable battlefield. We've tested it, the Given replied. That's because you're fixated on obtaining precise answers, Ling Liang countered calmly, addressing the renowned stellar mathematician, Mr. Botcher Barnack. For us Givens, mathematics without conclusive results is futile. Without definitive answers, we face extinction, Botcher Barnack explained. But if the outcomes of the three-body star system can't be precisely predicted, how do you manage to obtain accurate results? Ling Liang inquired. A result, even if incorrect, is essential, Botcher responded. Ling Liang smiled, proposing, how about we put it to the test? How so? Botcher inquired, intrigued. The remnants of the Galactic Republic's 20th Army are still concealed within the asteroid belt of the Jagged-Dur galaxy. If I provide the data, could you assist me with the calculations? Ling Liang suggested. Botcher sighed. The accuracy of the data you provide cannot be guaranteed. It's akin to calculating unknowns with unknowns, yet still requiring a precise known value. Let's begin, Ling Liang said, adeptly navigating the Given's complex computer system, entering a series of commands into a computer equipped with hundreds of buttons. Botcher, recognized as one of the Given's finest mathematicians, faced the daunting array of numbers and formulas. Remarkably, he began calculating swiftly, intuitively, entering results from many equations directly, outpacing even the computer's input speed. The model's parameters are insufficient. We need to incorporate the opposing commander's offensive desire threshold and assess the political climate in Coruscant. This information must be integrated into the political mathematical model we've developed for Coruscant, and then, Botcher continued, delving deeper into the intricate calculations. Ling Liang was deeply engrossed in complex calculations, but he had already issued a decisive command to the T-Series tactical robot standing by his side. Order all defensive fleets to move towards Moon number 3, he instructed firmly. The T-Series tactical robot, however, expressed concern. This maneuver will leave us without a fire barrier in the direction of Moon 2, it warned. The initial stage of calculation is complete. I require additional parameters for further analysis, Botcher interjected, seeking Ling Liang's attention. Ling Liang, however, remained undistracted by Botcher's request and reiterated his command to the tactical robot, execute the order. The robot hesitated momentarily before responding. If you insist, I will log this order along with my recommendation in the combat log before execution. Its electronic eyes flickered as it relayed the command. General Ling, we still need the combat parameters. Botcher attempted to interject once more. Meanwhile, the defensive fleet, comprising 5 Higera-class battlecruisers and 5 Martha-class guided missile heavy cruisers, began their strategic repositioning from Jagged-Dur 2 towards Moon number 3. Prepare the Martha-class guided missile heavy cruisers for a salvo of Huoyun missiles. Target coordinates 2331, N937, covering a range of 5,000 kilometers. Ling Liang ordered, his voice steady and authoritative. He continued, have the Cole-class battlecruiser from satellite number 1 enter the fray, but hold fire. Warm up the engines and stand by for my command. Understood, came the crisp reply. Order all pilots to man their fighters and be ready for immediate launch. I want them airborne within 1 minute of receiving the order. Ling Liang commanded, his tone brooking no argument. Affirmative, was the swift response. At that moment, a G1 radar operator, tasked with scanning, reported, "We've detected radar signals indicating a large formation of Republic fighter jets emerging from the asteroid belt. They're headed towards satellite number 2. Calculate their attack trajectory," Ling Liang ordered without hesitation. After analysis, the enemy's flight path deviates by 8,403 kilometers from the coordinates you previously specified, the radar operator informed. "That's acceptable. Redirect the Martha-class heavy cruisers to the new target area and launch within 3 minutes. Have the Cole-class battleship begin charging its weapons but hold position. The Higera-class battlecruisers are to turn back and defend Satellite 2. Ling Liang's commands were precise and rapid. Unbeknownst to the Republic's forces, their surprise attack had been anticipated. As their fighters, including thousands of V-19 Torrent light fighters and RQ-170 heavy fighters, emerged from the asteroid belt, they were met with a devastating barrage of Huoyun missiles from the Martha-class cruisers. The missiles detonated at the prearranged coordinates, unleashing a massive radiation cloud that enveloped thousands of kilometers. This initial assault obliterated over 200 Republic fighters, forcing the survivors to navigate around the deadly zone, regroup, and plan another attack. However, the Confederate forces of the independent galaxy were already mobilizing. Over 800 fighters, including Z-95 headhunters, vulture droids, wraiths, and Vikings, launched from Satellite 2, ready to engage the enemy. The Republic fleet, realizing the dire situation, finally committed its reserve forces. A formidable array of 12 Chaser-class battlecruisers, 10 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers, and 5 Aquitens-class light cruisers burst from the asteroid belt, determined to confront the Confederation fleet head-on. More than a month prior, the Republic's 20th Army, led by Jedi Master Sha Kong, had boldly invaded the Jag-Dur galaxy, launching an assault on the G1 people. However, they quickly discovered that they were facing a fleet every bit as formidable as their own, backed by a robust defense force. The Jag-Dur galaxy had been transformed into a veritable fortress by the G1 people, fortified with 2 Agonev-class starbases, orbital defense systems, and hangar platforms on several of its satellites. This strategic stronghold effectively turned the galaxy into an impenetrable barrier, a testament to the G1's military ingenuity. Despite the formidable defenses, Sha Kong, a determined general of the Galactic Republic, launched an audacious attack. She recognized that the battle for Jag-Dur was not merely a confrontation between the Republic's 20th Army and the G1 forces, but was crucial for maintaining the flow of the Rima trade route. The blockade of the Jag-Dur system by the G1 threatened the Republic's ability to reinforce the 18th Army on planet Eliadu. The Republic's resolve had to be demonstrated in this pivotal battle, necessitating a swift victory to alleviate the pressure on Eliadu. The strategic significance of Jag-Dur escalated following General Severance Tan's unexpected assault on Malastare. Should Jag-Dur fall, the Grand's homeworld, Golden Rock, would be vulnerable to the Republic's main fleet, potentially influencing the Grand's resistance on Malastare. In light of these developments, the Supreme Strategic Command of the Galactic Republic assured Master Sha Kong of increased logistical support for the 20th Army, signaling a prioritization of their mission in the galaxy's broader military efforts. This support implied an expectation for Sha Kong to maintain pressure on the Jag-Dur galaxy, regardless of the immediate tactical outcomes. Master Sha Kong sought counsel from her mentor, Master Puo Kong, a respected figure within the Jedi Order and the Supreme Committee. Master Puo Kong, known for his passionate commitment to justice, encouraged Sha Kong to adopt a holistic view of the conflict, emphasizing the importance of strategic sacrifice for the greater good. In the month leading up to the current engagement, Sha Kong had exercised caution, probing the defenses of the Agonev-class starbases. These preliminary skirmishes revealed the formidable defensive and offensive capabilities of the starbases, protected by extensive fighter fleets. Realizing a direct assault was futile after sustaining significant losses, Sha Kong withdrew her forces to the asteroid belt, leveraging its cover to conceal her fleet and mitigate enemy fire. Master Shakong's strategy involved exploiting the operational patterns of the Aganev-class bases. She planned to attack during a window when one base was repositioned, leaving satellite number 2 vulnerable. Destroying its defenses would breach the Jiwen's impenetrable shield around Jaggerdor. However, the Jiwen defenders anticipated her maneuver, launching a preemptive strike with a Martha-class guided missile cruiser that nearly decimated Shakong's fighters. Undeterred, the Republic's fleet emerged from the asteroid belt, unleashing a barrage on satellite number 2's defenses. The Separatist fleet, momentarily disoriented, scrambled to respond. The Higuera-class battlecruisers, though inferior in firepower and defense to the Republic's Chaser class, compensated with their speed. After enduring the initial onslaught, they swiftly regrouped, ready to defend their stronghold. In the midst of the chaotic battlefield, Master Shakong quickly realized that every strategic move she made was anticipated and countered by the enemy. The Separatist forces, with their densely packed fighter jets, launched an aggressive assault, entangling with the Republic's fighters that were attempting to navigate around the radiation cloud left by the Huoyun missile. To make matters worse, a Cole-class battlecruiser positioned near Satellite Nar 3 unleashed a devastating metamaterial electromagnetic cannon attack in their direction. Master Shakong understood that the situation was dire. Time was of the essence, and continuing to engage in this battle would only lead to unnecessary losses. She was well aware that the Aganev-class interstellar base, hidden in the shadow of satellite number 3, was poised to join the fray. Its entry into the battle would unleash a torrent of firepower that her fleet, despite its strength, would not be able to withstand without suffering significant casualties. The thought of losing over 3,000 lives of the Republic's navy weighed heavily on her. With decisive action, Master Shakong ordered a strategic retreat. She commanded the 5 Cheer-class assault landing ships concealed within the asteroid belt to make their escape first. Following this, she directed the rest of the fleet to fight their way out of the engagement. Master Shakong was acutely aware that retreating from planet Jag-Dur would increase the pressure on the forces at planet Eliadu. However, given the circumstances, it was a sacrifice she was willing to make for the greater good. As the fleet prepared to withdraw, Master Shakong took to the skies in a fighter jet, confronting the enemy head-on to buy her forces the precious time they needed to escape. Her bravery and tactical acumen ensured that the Separatist fleet did not pursue them aggressively. Although the Republic fleet suffered the loss of 5 warships, they successfully disengaged from the Yale G-Dur galaxy, living to fight another day. Master Shakong's quick thinking and willingness to make tough decisions highlighted her leadership and dedication to her troops. With the fleet's return to the Jizo planet, where the main force of the 20th Army was stationed, there remained a glimmer of hope for regrouping and planning their next move in the ongoing conflict. Attachment 1 of the Easter Egg Chapter, Jiwenren. Note: the provided URL and site mention have been omitted as they do not pertain to the narrative enhancement requested.